Hello, everyone. It's nice to hear all the friendly conversation happening in the chambers. I appreciate that very much. Very positive way to get started here with people wanting to talk to each other. And it's nice to see my colleagues back. We just wrapped our 5 o'clock Committee of the Whole meeting a few minutes ago, and now we're back for our business meeting. So a few moments after 7, and I'm going to officially call to order the Kalamazoo City Commission business meeting for Monday, April 20th, 2026. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hess.
Present.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Present.
Commissioner Pradel.
Present.
Commissioner Slaby.
Present.
Commissioner Wilson. Present. Vice Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Mayor Anderson.
Here. Thank you, Clerk Borling. Well, we are blessed this evening to have Pastor Brett Laird here from the Calvary Bible Church to provide an invocation. And this is the way that we start all our business meetings. Just as a reminder here, if you are interested in getting on the list to do this, we will take comers from around the city to do that work. So thank you, sir, for offering your services here. I'm going to ask everyone in the chambers, please, to stand for the invocation and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Lord, come before you this evening, first of all, with a grateful heart, Lord, for your love. Lord, you are the maker and giver of life. You're the creator of all things. And so we pause to give you the honor and glory that you deserve. Lord, I know that in a room like this, certainly there must be hearts who are wondering if you care. Lord, I pray that they would remember that Jesus Christ left the glories of heaven to walk our streets, to live among us, to experience all of the hardships of this fallen world. So, Lord, you do understand and you do care. Lord, I'm confident there are hearts who are wondering if you love them. Lord, the way that you served when you were here on earth is a reminder of your great love. Lord, I'm sure there are hearts who are wondering if there is forgiveness. Lord, your death for sin on the cross opened a way for every soul who repents and believes the good news to have complete forgiveness of sins. Lord, I'm sure there must be hearts that are wondering if there is any hope of eternal life. Lord, your resurrection from the dead proved that you have opened a way to eternal life for all who would believe. So, Lord, we thank you for the demonstration of your love. I pray for the hurting heart, Lord, the heart that is wrestling with spiritual things, Lord, that you'd minister to them. And Lord, I pray for these commissioners as they serve our city, that you would give them wisdom. Lord, they have a heavy load. There is weariness. There's being tired, Lord, physically and emotionally as they have to deal with so many different issues. So, Lord, we pray both for wisdom and also for sustaining strength for them. Bless their meeting. Be with each one. And, Lord, we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks so much again, Pastor Laird, for being here. I appreciate that. Well, I guess this kind of the old adage, rules are made to be broken, is kind of happening a little bit tonight. And I've mentioned before that I love proclamations. It's often a very high point, nice part of our business meeting here, but I had set an internal rule that we were not going to have more than 4 proclamations at any given meeting. Well, that was just broken. So we have 5 tonight, and they're all great things to be recognized. And luckily, some of the individuals who will be accepting one of the proclamations will also be accepting another one. So I guess that helps a little bit as we work our way through this. But we have 5 great proclamations this evening, and they will be read by different members of the commission here. I will come down with the proclamations. Our first proclamation is National Work Zone Awareness Week. Those of you accepting that, please come forward.
So I'll be reading the proclamation, National Work Zone Awareness Week, from April 20th to the 24th, 2026. Whereas recognizing the annual National Work Zone Awareness Week, NWZAW, being held April 20th through 24th, 2026, is an annual spring campaign held at the start of construction season to encourage safe driving through highway work zones. The key message is for drivers to use extra caution in work zones, and whereas the City of Kalamazoo recognizes that road construction and maintenance is vital for a safe, well-maintained transportation system for all Kalamazoo area families and businesses. And whereas we must protect construction, maintenance, and utility workers who courageously put their lives on the line to improve the safety and quality of life of those traveling area roads. And whereas the 2026 National Work Zone Awareness Week theme is Safe Actions Saves Lives. And whereas most often drivers or their passengers are killed or injured in work zone crashes, and whereas most work zone crashes are caused by inattentive or distracted drivers, and speeding is the leading cause of fatal work zone crashes. And whereas Work Zone Awareness Week is an opportunity to raise awareness for worker and road user safety by planning ahead, reducing speeds, minimizing distractions, and expecting the unexpected when approaching and passing work zones. And whereas the City of Kalamazoo is dedicated to investing in safe and reliable road infrastructure for the Kalamazoo community, and call on our federal and state partners to bring much-needed funding and innovation to protect and restore our critical road infrastructure. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 56th City Commission, do I say myself? Okay, sorry. I, Jacqueline Slavey, City Commissioner of City Kalamazoo, do hereby recognize that work zone safety is essential to the life of our construction workers, and acknowledge the importance of educating the public about safe driving in construction zones during the National Work Zone Awareness Week campaign, April 20th through 24th, 2026, and encourage all residents to pay attention, slow down, and go orange Wednesday, April 22nd for Work Zone Awareness Day.
Thank you. We'd like to, on behalf of all public services employees, we'd like to thank the City Commission and our community for this honor. We encourage folks to wear orange and to think orange. Please slow down and pay attention when you're in a work zone. Thank you.
All right, I'll be reading the proclamation for Arbor Day next, and that will be on April 24th, 2026. Do we have any representatives to come up and accept this proclamation today? Oh, there we are. All right. Arbor Day, April 24th, 2026. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 56th City Commission, I do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the City of Kalamazoo, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands.
Thank you. Just wanted to say that there are some bare root trees outside that folks in here are free to grab on their way out, and they can plant them at their homes. Thanks.
Whoa.
Earth Day. Whereas Earth Day was first celebrated on April 22nd, 1970, Earth Day is an opportunity to renew America's commitment to preserving and protecting the state of our environment through community service and responsible stewardship. And whereas new and continuing challenges, including climate change, pollution, sea level rise, and loss of forests, wetlands, and other wildlife habitats reinforce the need for adequate protections for the air we breathe, the water we drink, the land we inhabit, and the animals we live alongside. And whereas the most vulnerable populations, which are often Black, Indigenous, or people of color, will be disproportionately impacted by the effects of climate change, exacerbating unemployment, displacement, and homelessness. And whereas communities, neighborhoods, and residents most vulnerable to climate impacts tend to be the least prepared to manage and recover. And our youth, in particular, will see the long-term results of a dramatically changing climate. And whereas on this Earth Day, let us recognize the role that each of us can play to increase awareness about the importance of the environmental education and spur progress towards global environmental and climate literacy. And whereas Earth Day reaffirms our responsibility in the global effort to combat climate change and protect our planet for all. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 56th Commission, I, Drew Duncan, Vice Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2026 as Earth Day in the City of Kalamazoo. It is critical for us to work together in confronting the climate crisis, and we urge a renewed commitment to the policies that invest in sustainable solutions, resilience, and innovation to safeguard our future.
Thanks again. I just told I should introduce myself. I'm Justin Gish. I'm the Sustainability Planner for the City of Kalamazoo. Again, there's more gifts. Folks here can get recycling information, recycling bags, and compostable or compost containers. And I'm guessing the compost resolution's next, so I'm going to stay up here.
It is. Is there anyone in the chambers who is going to accept Compost Week?
Steve, Zach.
Well, we're waiting for them to come up. I got to say, just like the Arbor Day proclamation said, for me, composting is a source of joy and spiritual renewal. So it's wonderful that we're doing this proclamation for International Compost Awareness Week, May 3rd through May 9th, 2026. Whereas composting returns organic resources to the soil, restores soil health, and supports the essential role soil plays in the carbon cycle. And whereas the use of finished compost is a proven method to grow healthy food, conserve water during drought, reduce erosion and non-point source pollution, decrease reliance on chemical fertilizers, and improve resiliency during extreme weather events. And whereas organic materials such as yard trimmings, food scraps, biosolids, and agricultural byproducts can be converted into beneficial compost, reducing landfill waste and supporting sustainable resource recovery. And whereas communities, public works professionals, farmers, gardeners, and residents can positively impact clean water, climate resilience, and local economies through composting programs that create green jobs and strengthen infrastructure. And whereas International Compost Awareness Week is a public education program highlighting the importance of composting, and the 2026 theme, Compost, Feed the Soil That Feeds Us, emphasizes the connection between healthy soil, nutritious food, and thriving communities. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 56th City Commission, David F. Anderson, Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, I do hereby proclaim May 3rd through May 9th, 2026 as Compost Awareness Week in the City of Kalamazoo, and encourage all residents to recognize the value of composting in sustaining healthy soil, healthy food, and a healthy community. Thank you for buying into composting in the City of Kalamazoo. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Patricia Byrne and I live in Parkview Hills. I'd like to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation to the city for supporting and promoting composting in our community. This program has made a meaningful difference in how many of us think about waste. Instead of sending organic materials and food scraps to the landfill, we're learning how to turn them into something valuable, nutrient-rich compost that benefits our soil and environment. I'd also like to give a special thanks to Chris Broadbent and Justin Gish. Their guidance, education, and enthusiasm has been instrumental in helping residents become better stewards of our earth. They've empowered us with practical knowledge and inspired real change in our daily habits. This composting program is not just helpful, it's vital to building a healthier, more sustainable Kalamazoo. I encourage continued support and expansion so even more residents can participate and benefit. Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, it feels appropriate with this marathon session of proclamations on the Kalamazoo Marathon Week. April, as Kalamazoo Valley Community College Month, is the proclamation here. So thank you for being here on behalf of the community college. Whereas more than 1,000 community and technical colleges, public and private in the United States, have contributed enormously to the richness and accessibility of American higher education. More than 40% of all undergraduate college students in the nation today are enrolled in community colleges. And whereas, by providing educational opportunities at costs and locations accessible to all who are qualified, community colleges have greatly enhanced the opportunity for very ambitious students to enter the post-secondary school programs. As community-based institutions, our institutions provide varied programs and offer specialized training for thousands of occupations. And whereas this community has been served by Kalamazoo Valley Community College since 1966, supporting the advancement of Southwest Michigan by developing strong industry partnerships and providing state-of-the-art training and educational experiences. And whereas approximately 10,000 students of all ages and backgrounds annually attend Kalamazoo Valley Community College to receive superb education and earn degrees, certificates, and trainings that help them become skilled members of the workforce that propel economic growth and encourage learning, culture. And whereas Kalamazoo Valley Community College has been instrumental in revitalizing the city of Kalamazoo with the Arcadia Commons campus, Center for New Media, Kalamazoo Valley Museum, and Bronson's Healthy Living Campus. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 56th City Commission, do by here proclaim April 2026 as Kalamazoo Valley Community College Month in the city of Kalamazoo. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Mayor, City Manager, Vice Mayor, and the other members of the Commission for your trust and belief in Kalamazoo Valley as we stay steadfast and committed to our mission to create equitable opportunities for all to learn, grow, and thrive. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again, everyone who came down to participate in that portion of our meeting. I appreciate that very much. Just a reminder for anyone who hasn't heard it, Kalamazoo Promise just made a recent announcement where they are, in essence, providing full tuition reimbursement, not based on what prior arrangement was amount of time in Kalamazoo Public Schools, so that is more support for this very important institution, of which I am alumni, actually, Kalamazoo Valley Community College. So great news in the community, helping future students take advantage of learning opportunities. Commissioners, now we are down to the adoption of the formal agenda. Commissioners, are there any items on G, the consent agenda, that you would like to move to H, the regular agenda? Okay, seeing none, the agenda stands as presented. Communications, City Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a note about our community, which many of our community members are suffering through some challenges with flooding. I want to acknowledge that we recognize those challenges, and our staff are out working diligently to find ways to support the community and provide assistance and resources where needed. So you'll probably be hearing more from us as a city about that effort, but our priority is, first of all, people and the safety of the folks in our community as we deal with some unprecedented water creating hazards and conditions in homes that people don't often have to deal with. So just know that we are out and we're trying to do what we can to support our community in that regard. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Manager Hankins. Very important message. Now we are at the point on our agenda where there's an opportunity for public comments on any topic that you desire. Just a reminder here that the public comment period is 4 minutes. Please state your name and whether you live in the city.
Two short people fighting for the mic. Good evening, everybody. My name is Wendy Fields, and I stand before you this evening as the president of the Kalamazoo branch of the NAACP, in AACP. Over the last probably week or two, we've had the opportunity to meet with Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety around the issue of the flock camera. And the NAACP supports the use of the flock safety cameras by Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. We also appreciate the measures that they've taken to maintain the integrity of information that they've captured. Specifically, there is no national sharing of flock data with the federal government, law enforcement agencies, nor is any information reported or shared with ICE. As of June 2025, Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety suspended information access to outside or federal agencies. The only law enforcement agencies with access are the Michigan State Police, Portage Police Department, Kalamazoo Township, Western Michigan University, and the Kalamazoo County Sheriff Department. It is and was our concern about that based on some information that we got, but I do want to reiterate that they are not in any way in partnership with ICE agency. The flock cameras played a crucial role in addressing several serious crimes, everything from including murder, auto theft, kidnapping, trafficking, and mobile nuisance parties. Flock safety cameras have been utilized by Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety for the past 5 years. We do believe that a lot of this unrest and the reason some of this has come to surface again is because of the current political administration that we have, the mistrust, misinformation, and plain out fear. Consequently, the NAACP intends to partner with other organizations to order and organize a community forum with Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety to provide an opportunity for the public to participate, get their questions asked and answered, and to obtain further information. We know that trust and transparency is huge in this community. We know that there have been gains that have been made with Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, and it is our fear and concern that if those cameras are removed, we're going to be taking a step backwards, and it's not where I want to go. And if you listen to the news, you're listening to the murders and all of this other craziness that's happening, the mobile nuisance parties. We can't go back there. And I'm hoping that when we have this forum, that it will put a lot of these issues to rest. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, and Commissioners. Daniel Cunningham, residents of the County of Kalamazoo. As a member of Pastors on Patrol, which is known as POPs, which we celebrated a few weeks ago here in these chambers, and also CVI Team, which is a crime initiative and intervention group in working conjunction with the police department. The combination of these initiatives and partnerships with instrumental people that worked together for us to continue reduce the number of crime that is on our webpage, on the public, or on the Kalamazoo Police Safety Department website. One of the tools that currently help us to achieve these reduction of crime is Flock. Flock is a tool. Flock is do not and cannot track vehicles, much less individuals. It displays images of license plates on public roadways and does not track people or vehicles over time. Most of the data is never accessed and is deleted on a set reason time. There are organizations and people who do not live or invest in this community that are spreading false information about Flock. For those for us in this chamber and those that live in the community, it has been a very positive aspect in our community. There are those in our community that may lean towards that noise of other organizations that are not part of our community, but I want to say this, that could be misinformation or ignorance or just another agenda that's on the table. Again, Flock is not a mass surveillance, but Flock is about license plate reader. It does not tell who owns the car. It does not follow individuals, and our department doesn't share with ICE. Flock is a part of the general fund. Flock is already continuing being used right now. It's already in the funds. Flock is a valuable tool when needed to be used for particular situations and circumstances. So I ask that there's 56 city commissions to continue to support the uphill battle of this work that we do. Let us be that beacon of light. Let us be that community that set the example with the support of Flock as a tool in our arsenal in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. I'm Pastor Greg Jennings, and I am one of our Pastors on Patrol leaders in Kalamazoo here. And what has been stated already is the use of Flock, and I certainly hope and pray that we continue using Flock because it is doing something that the naked eye cannot do. And in a city where crime is happening a lot, we need to have all the advantages that we can. And one of the things and tools that we have is the Flock. It does not, if you look at the transparency page, it does not share that information with anyone who will harm any citizen in any way. And so I'm not going to be very long here, and I'd just like to say we need to jam with the Lamb and rock with the Flock. And so when we continue to do that, we are doing something that Kalamazoo has in store. And as we leave this place, we leave with one shared conviction. Our city is stronger when we stand together. Unity is not a slogan, it's a responsibility. When we listen to one another, look out for one another, and work side by side for the good of Kalamazoo, we become a community to our young people and to all of us who deserve it. Let's choose collaboration over division, hope over fear, and action over silence. Together we can build a safer, stronger, more unified Kalamazoo we all long to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maddie Jordan Woods. I thought I would be talking today about the biases of how property is being sold to small developers, particularly black developers in Kalamazoo, from brownfield development to city staff. But two things happened this weekend. One of them had to do with the tool about flock. And I was one of those residents that was here a couple years ago asking for something to be done in our community. So yes, I stand with the previous speakers in saying, let's keep the tool, let's protect people from ICE, but let's keep the tool. And my last thing is to say is that we are talking about equity and people getting out. I'm here tonight to thank the city manager for taking the time to come to my neighborhood, knock on doors, go down in basements where seniors whose husbands have died, who worked all their life and paid taxes in this community, who needed the help. I'm here to thank James Baker. The sergeant is going to kill me. His last name starts with a W, but I just want public safety to thank you guys for going door to door. And then the public safety workers who are going down in these basements, who have on boots, no boots, shoes, but they're going down and they're helping in my neighborhood. So I'm here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, everyone, again. My name is Tina McClinton. I live on the south side of town. I live in that lovely floodplain area. I've lived in Kalamazoo all my life. But first, I want to thank James Baker for coming out and walking with my neighbors and myself and taking us on a tour and explaining to us what the Army engineer said about the flooding and answering a lot of our questions. We learned a lot about our neighborhood and about the flooding problems we have. Last couple of days, when our basements flooded a little, we got this slimy orange around the inside of our walls on the floor of our basement. My neighbor told me that he said it was just iron. When the oxygen meets it, it slimes from the groundwater. It was all in the sub pump, so my neighbor helped me out and cleaned the sub pump all out for me and got it back to working. And thank you, David. We dodged the bad flooding this time. I'm still very worried about flooding, for it's bound to happen sooner or later in my neighborhood. This year, I am glad you finally admit there is a problem after 8 years of me coming here, asking for someone to listen and help us out with this flooding problem. For the storm drains flooding our streets out pretty often lately. I hope that what James Baker said you were thinking about doing, I hope that you stick to it and try to do something. See, it's hard for me to trust the city of Kalamazoo, for I have been asking for you and begging for you to fix this problem ever since December 18th of 2017, and I have never got a response. So trust is an issue for me. I can only hope and pray that you do something and stop taking away natural spaces and land, and don't mess with our last natural green space, Lake to Stockbridge to John, like you did the 12 acres across the street for KVCC. Now we flood bad and more. The more you build in our neighborhood, the worse it gets for homeowners and residents. All we want the same thing everybody else wants. We want dry streets. We want to be able to get home when it rains. I don't want to have to go to my aunt's senior apartment building, pack up and leave so I can get out to get to work, because I can't get home because the streets are blocked from the flooding. And I have another question for Baker. Is there somewhere online on a city page to find a map of what river is going to cross and which rivers would affect our neighborhood, well, Kalamazoo? That would be something very important to know, so you can kind of try to be prepared, because it is going to happen. It happens 2-3 times a year, so it's going to happen. I just hope that you guys stick to what you're saying and try to help us out for once with this flooding, because it gets really expensive and it's really tiring. Like I said, all we want is dry streets. That's all we want. The rest of the neighborhoods, every neighborhood in Kalamazoo should have dry streets so everybody can get to their home where they feel comfortable and safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, I'm Kay. People are on the streets again after the programs for the winter ended, and we continue this cycle of KDPS sweeping downtown. They swept around the Mission just recently, and I'm just concerned about how pro-police this community is, especially the Black and brown community. It's not real, and I'm glad somebody here said a Band-Aid, mentioned something about a Band-Aid, because this is what things are. When we talk about crime reduction, when we talk about statistics and things going down, some of the neighborhoods aren't seeing this reality. I mean, I heard that like 3 times after the couple of shootings that happened over the week. It's like, yeah, they say crime reduction is down, but where? Where is it? And we need real efforts, real efforts when it comes to policing. You know, back in the OIR report, when KDPS was trying to defend themselves from seemingly supporting the Proud Boys and then pepper spraying protesters, they cited pillars of policing models and ongoing community programs such as pastors on patrol, street outreach, as well as informal block parties, reading programs, ice cream socials. And in a nutshell, it said, while these developments are commendable, they often lack a meaningful public outreach component. We're not directly linked to addressing the 2013 study, which said that Black motorists were twice as likely to be stopped by police, even though white motorists were more likely to have contraband, right? It says, this was in spite of the fact that a key recommendation of the study that KDPS regularly publicly report on the progress of its cultural change initiatives. As a result, even though reforms are being undertaken by KDPS, many in Kalamazoo community could rightly say that as far as they were aware, no reform of any import emerged from that study or its aftermath. Instead, we heard a range of opinions about the ways in which KDPS is disconnected from its community, how its community relations efforts are inauthentic, and how limited understanding of diversity within the department's ranks is problematic. Moreover, while there has been talks about undertaking another study to learn to what degree racial disparity continues to exist in KDPS enforcement activity, the talk has remained a work in progress. In short, the department's sense of its own progress in this arena has substantive merit, but nonetheless did not necessarily resonate with the wider community experience. This suggests room for further effort by KDPS to prioritize not only constructive change, but also meaningful interactions with public about those changes. We need to be brave. We need to be brave and stop depending on policing as a source of crime reduction, because the real issue is housing. The real issue is these jobs that don't pay a livable wage. The real reason is the housing crisis, people who are homeless, people who are couch surfing, people who are in their cars. Like, all of these things need to be addressed, because if we continue to use policing as a Band-Aid to say, well, this is what we have now, then we're never going to imagine something better than that. We're never going to imagine communities that actually don't need to be policed, just need resources, just need equity, right? Because as we see in the statistics, white residents have more privilege, have more housing opportunities, are the biggest demographic of homeowners. All of these things, all of these disparities that we don't consider when we just want the Band-Aids, when we have the privilege, right? As a person who is housed, as a person who can talk to people and all that, like, I know I have the privilege to be able to do more than just say this is enough, right? Policing isn't, because it is not.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Laura Livingstone McNellis, and I'd like to address some traffic issues in Kalamazoo, specifically in the neighborhood where I live, West Main Hill neighborhood, at the intersection of Lovell Street and Monroe Street. I've lived here for 28 years. I've seen the traffic continue to worsen over that time. I've been here and spoken to the commission over the years many, many times. I've been part of the Complete Streets Commission before there was a Complete Streets of Kalamazoo for the city. And I've done a lot of work trying to get data and make the changes. One of the things that I have seen is that the constant flow of traffic from downtown westbound on Lovell continues to increase. I live at that intersection, and almost every day I get rear-ended or blindsided trying to get out of my driveway. I've actually gotten hit backing out of my own driveway. My neighbor almost had the same thing just yesterday. Another issue related to that is that the speed bumps are located in places that aren't necessarily super effective. I'm not sure why they were placed, for instance, on Academy Street when that's not nearly as great a thoroughfare as Monroe Street, and people literally gun their engines down Monroe Street. I have a daughter with disabilities who has mobility issues, hearing and vision issues. She can't cross streets in our neighborhood. I have to be with her. There's no chance on the planet that she could cross safely given the volume and the carefree way people drive through our neighborhood, not stopping at stop signs that are there and certainly not paying attention to people with disabilities. There are heavy vehicles that continue to traverse Lovell and Monroe Streets. I understand that a lot of this is for the construction at Kalamazoo College. I would like to suggest that those traffic routes be redirected. They're going by our house, and they're literally rumbling our house to the point where our foundation is rattling. The cement in our stone fireplace structure is literally cracking. I've taken photographs, and you can see the changes over time. I've been here at 28 years. The house is over 115 years old. These changes are recent, and it has to do with the heavy, heavy vehicles, cement trucks driving by our neighborhood in front of our house every day, Pepsi Cola, beer trucks, whatever, different trucks. Another big significant issue is the parking on our street. There are signs that say no parking between certain hours. That's never monitored. People tend to park there way beyond the time frames specified, to the point where trash collection can't happen. The people are parked in front of the trash dumpsters, and they can't be picked up. This happened to my neighbor yesterday. She's elderly, and her trash didn't get picked up this last week. So I would like to suggest a yellow painted line on the a striped line on Monroe Street between 308 Monroe and 314 Monroe, where it seems to be the biggest infractions. People tend to park there, and it also blocks visibility. We can't even see to back out. I put on my flashers and sort of pray to God I don't get rear-ended as I back out of my driveway between the Lovell traffic going up and the Monroe Street crossing back and forth. So if we had that yellow stripe, that would maybe eliminate some of the visibility issues, and related to that, the people who don't prune their bushes back as per city code. Lastly, I mentioned the speed bumps. I think that that's one of the biggest things that was an effort that I fought for, and I know was eventually placed in our neighborhood, but unfortunately not on the street that I was advocating for. So I'm not sure why it was, but I would like to revisit that. Lastly, the traffic light at the intersection of Stadium and what used to be Michigan Avenue / Ring Road, now by Jimmy John's. I've sat at that light many times in the morning, and it goes through several cycles and never actually turns green. So it's very hard to get out of our.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Jen DeWale. I'm here representing Peace House, which is an intentional community on the east side of Kalamazoo. We serve the kids and families of the east side through an after-school and summer program and many other ways. The two families that created Peace House have lived and worked on Phelps Avenue for the last 20 years. On March 9th at 7:30 p.m., the sky lit up from a large fire at the Kalamazoo Metal Recyclers. This fire went stories into the sky, included frequent large explosions, and burned until 4 in the morning. We have many concerns about why the fire happened, what was burning in the fire, and what we can do better as a city towards the next time this happens. My understanding is that Kalamazoo Metal Recyclers provides Eagle with a list of chemicals and toxins that can potentially be hazardous to their immediate environment that they work with, and that is what Eagle monitors for. The citizens of Kalamazoo need to see what was in the fire and what was on this list. I'm questioning how big the Kalamazoo Metal Recyclers retaining ponds are. Are they big enough to hold 1.3 million gallons of water that was used to put out the fire, or did some of the water spill into the Kalamazoo River, which runs very near to the plant? What was being monitored in the river to ensure that no toxins entered? I know it was shared through the news that oil was being monitored, but that was the only thing that was shared. And since we don't know what was in the fire, we know that there are possibly many other things like lithium-ion batteries, vinyls, all sorts of toxins that could have been in the fire. My understanding is that it was a fire of things that could not be recycled. So all sorts of random things from cars and metal and things that couldn't be recycled as metal. And so many, many different things were in the fire. I understand that we can't go back in time and test the water and air, but the city of Kalamazoo should be prepared for the next time. As one city official told me, this happens once a year. The citizens of Kalamazoo deserve clear and timely access to the data from all industries in Kalamazoo, of which there are many. I suggest appointing or creating a position as liaison to industry that reports to the people of Kalamazoo, air quality, relations, history, etc. I'm hoping that the commission steps up for the citizens in the near future, as they, more than anyone else who does business in Kalamazoo, deserve to know what they are breathing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, my name is Amy Kuritsky, and I'm a resident of the city of Kalamazoo, and I volunteer with Peace House and want to join Jen in everything she just said. I'm also a PhD student studying environmental justice and air pollution, and I wanted to further express concern about the emergency response, or lack thereof, and what could have been done differently. The news coverage after only mentioned monitoring PM 2.5, which is a large category of compounds. Without looking at specific compounds such as heavy metals, you're not able to actually tell what is of concern to residents. And in addition, there are compounds that aren't captured in a PM 2.5 measure, such as volatile organic compounds and polycystic aromatic hydrocarbons. The article also only talked about looking for an oil sheen, which is the bare minimum when you think about what could be in the water. There need to be air and water samples taken at the time of an event so that there could be a more comprehensive analysis of what was in the air and water after the fact. And that is especially important if there are reports of health effects. We would have to know what was there in real time to be able to assess if there's a connection to the concerns that people have. Because without proper scientific study, so taking samples in real time, the wind blows away, the water flows away, and it's easy to just say it's not a problem anymore. Like Jen said, officials can say this happens every year, and it goes away. And then it becomes normalized, and there's no accountability. And this is an environmental justice issue because it's no coincidence where these industries are located that are at risk for this type of emergency. It's in minority and low-income communities by design. And if there's no proper monitoring or emergency response, then that becomes a way to further perpetuate environmental injustice and is scientifically irresponsible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Manager, Mayor, and City Commissioner. Addis Ward, pastor of the Mount Zion Church here in Kalamazoo. I rose to say a few words about the flock cameras. I'll just read a letter that was written, just a few words, and then move from there. Very concerned about not using them, and so let me. Here it is. Dear Mayor Anderson, City Commission, as a member of this community who lives, works, and worships on the north side of Kalamazoo, I write in support of the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety's use of the flock cameras to assist with criminal investigations and enhance community safety. The implementation of this technology has a direct benefit to me and my community. It offers a proactive and ongoing approach to addressing concerns such as mobile nuisance parties, commonly known as X-Train, car thefts, drag racing, gun violence, and other criminal activity. By improving the ability to quickly identify and respond to these responsible, this tool helps make streets safer and neighborhoods stronger. I support thoughtful and responsible use of this technology as a part of a broader effort to protect residents, preserve peace, and promote a safer north side and greater community of Kalamazoo. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening to our mayor, our vice mayor, commissioners, city manager, city attorney. My name is Charlotte Davis with Isaac. First, I want to thank Manager Hankins and his wife and his family for taking time out of their busy schedules for the neighborhood meet and greets. There was one at St. Luke's, one at the Douglas Community Association, and then also with our immigrant family members. And our community members were so happy to be able to meet their new city manager. It was a wonderful time of unity and community fellowship, so thank you. Also, thank you to Mayor Anderson, Vice Mayor Drew, Commissioner Slaby. I saw you at various meet and greets, so I wanted to send my gratitude as well. I want to next talk and just honor the violence that has been happening and the loss of life here, also in the U.S. and nationwide. I want to talk a little bit more about systems right now, you all. I'm not going to focus on local because I know that we all love our community. We love Kalamazoo, so I'm not going to go there. But I do want to lift about what we're seeing as far as federal actions and those that continue to put our community in danger, especially those who are impacted. So it is my hope that we as a city can start shifting, because times are changing, we have to shift with the times, and start planning and preparing for what might be ahead. And that means we can't do things the same way that we've always been doing them. As I've been listening tonight, I've been hearing valuable community members talking about the flock cameras, and I honor that we want to keep our communities safe. We want accountability for those who commit crimes, those who do harm to our communities. And if I asked everybody who is a survivor in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure everybody would raise their hand. And so I wanted to lift that and honor that, period. And you all, for me, it does not stop there. I have to honor that there are also concerns and an increased risk for harm, especially with this federal administration. And so I want to send gratitude to the community member that figured out that our local cameras were being accessed, and we did not know that. So thank you to that person. And I think it's really important that we learn from lessons and learn from other places that are being informed by best practices. Few things that we can't ignore. White supremacy does not follow rules. I'm going to say that again. White supremacy does not follow rules. Also, if you have been looking at other cities, they have been reporting unauthorized queries and tracking around immigration and reproductive health clinic visits and investigations. Even in the CBS News, there was a title, Technical Glitches and Side Doors, and looking at errors that bypass privacy laws. And then also, CBS News, the National Lookup and the private to public sharing created avenues for federal access without explicit local consent. And I just wanted to lift that. So as we are talking about technology, which can be unpredictable, we're talking about an unhinged federal administration, we really, again, need to prepare differently when we're thinking about surveillance, especially in this troubling time. I don't think that we can forget anybody. We are very much in tune and knowing that crime is happening, and then we have other community members that might be put in harm's way as well. I want us to really start thinking about and lifting the idea of oversight when it's coming to surveillance, accountability, and audits, and looking at cities who are doing this as well with an anti-racism, anti-bias lens so that all communities feel safe.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Commissioners, City Managers, and citizens. My name is Ashante Collins, and I'm the Community Chair at AllPac Kalamazoo, which is Advocates and Leaders for Police and Community Trust. Our purpose is to bridge the gap between residents within the county and law enforcement who governs throughout. We are a state-supported group through the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, tasked with examining issues affecting police and community relations and ensuring equitable enforcement of laws, including racial profiling, police discretion, use of force, recruitment and training, community partnering, and other areas. I'm speaking today in maintaining Kalamazoo's use of the flock system and also in support of something equally important, ensuring our community has access to clear education about what this technology is and what it is not. Public safety tools are strongest when they operate alongside public understanding. Right now, there is an opportunity not just to keep a system in place that assists investigations, but to build deeper trust by making sure residents clearly understand how the system functions, what information it collects, how long data is stored, what can and cannot be shared, and with whom, and what safeguard guides it uses currently. Over the last 3 years, one thing I have consistently heard in conversations about this system is that people do not fully know what the tool is. Many are unsure what it can do, what its capabilities are, and what information is shared. At a time when our country is experiencing a broader climate of fear and uncertainty, we have a responsibility to ensure that the citizens who live here in Kalamazoo are heard, and I do hear you. I hope the Commission is hearing more than just the words being spoken tonight. I hope you are hearing the message behind them. That message is that we need to come together as residents, elected officials, and law enforcement to better understand the tools that are being used in our community. The flock system has helped identify and recover stolen vehicles, locate suspects connected to shootings in our city, assist in cases involving the kidnapping of our children, and support efforts to identify human trafficking victims. These are real outcomes that affect real families in Kalamazoo. It has also been a part of the progress that moved Kalamazoo toward a roughly 90% homicide clearance rate compared to the statewide clearance rates prior to 2020 that were closer to 50% to 51%. That represents an increase of nearly 40%, and that kind of movement matters when we talk about safety and justice for victims and their families. While the city was once connected to a broader nationwide sharing network, according to KDPS today, the system is connected only to local partners for information sharing. That distinction matters, and it deserves to be clearly understood by the public. In 2024, our community also had the opportunity to hear from criminal psychologist and AI policing expert Renee Cummings, who spoke about reimagining the legacy of law enforcement in the age of artificial intelligence, or AI. She reminded us that conversations about policing and technology are not new, but they are evolving. She challenged communities like ours to think about the balance between reward and risk and what our rights are and where responsibility lies between citizens and law enforcement. She talked about what her blueprint for the Bill of Rights according to AI are: the right to safe and effective systems, protection from discrimination, the right to data privacy, notifications when systems are being used, and explanations of their implications. And I think that's where we are today. These conversations are necessary and they are being had. Everyone who has spoken tonight is coming from a place of wanting better for our community, whether you talked about being for it or against it. They are speaking from a place of deep concern for their home, and at the end of the day, we are all asking for the same things: safety, transparency, accountability, and trust. So my ask tonight is simple: that we come together as a community and have this crucial conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Caleb. I'm a Kalamazoo resident. I want to talk tonight about an area where I think the city could improve, and that's the boards and commissions page. I want to be clear that this is about the tools and the systems, not the people behind it. I do web work myself, and I know how fast this kind of thing falls down the list when staff is stretched thin. Cities have a handful of ways to shape the kind of community they want to be: tax incentives to attract development, social programs to strengthen neighborhoods, grant funding to support local organizations. The thinking behind all of those is the same. If you want a certain outcome, you lower the barriers and make it easier for people to participate. I have been following the Civil Rights Board closely for about 2 years. I have attended every meeting, and over that time, I have repeatedly known about vacancies on the board from being in the room months before that information ever showed up on the city's website. A resident should not have to already be engaged to find out there is an opportunity to get engaged. Kalamazoo has over 20 boards and commissions. These are the bodies where residents have direct input on civil rights, housing, public safety, pensions, environmental policy. The people the city most needs on these boards are working parents, renters, and people with lived experiences in the areas these boards cover. People who are not already plugged into City Hall. Right now, the path from curiosity to participation asks a lot of a person. Say I want to stay informed about a board I care about. To watch a past meeting, I have to leave the board's page entirely and search through the city's YouTube channel. To find minutes and agendas, I'm taken off the board page to another platform. That is 3 different websites a resident has to track and self-organize just to follow one board. The city already publishes all of this. The information exists. It is just spread across enough places that keeping up with it becomes its own project. Boards have had difficulty maintaining full membership, and I think a big part of that is a pipeline problem. Someone who is civically engaged today could be an applicant in 6 months if they knew a seat was opening. But right now, they would have to call the clerk's office to find out upcoming vacancies. Term dates, meeting schedules, vacancy status, these are not just administrative details, they are recruitment tools. I sent an email to the commission on Friday with a link to a proof of concept I built that brings this information together in one place, organized by board, using only information the city already collects. I'm not asking the city to adopt that site. I built it to show what is possible and to start a conversation about making these resources work harder for residents. I'm looking forward and hopeful to whatever comes from those conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, City Manager, Mayor Anderson, and Vice Mayor Duncan, City Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Yarbrough with NACD and just a simple Northside resident. First thing I want to just say is that I myself, NACD, is in support of the flock cameras as long as no information is shared with any of the federal or any ICE or anything that has to go into harm's way. We want to make sure that we're protecting our residents, our individuals that live in the city, Kalamazoo and Kalamazoo County. So we are in favor of that simply because it literally protects our neighbors, it protects our city, it holds both sides of the party accountable. And again, especially since this past weekend, a young man has passed away just due to violence. And this wasn't on the north side of Kalamazoo, by the way. This was in the Vine neighborhood, and crime happens everywhere. But I'm not sure if Flock had anything to do with finding the person who did it. And they found that person today as I was looking on News Channel 3, but that's just one of the things that Flock can do. It can solve crimes at an accelerated rate, make things easier, and we definitely don't want to go back 30, 40 years where individuals do crime and we don't know where they're at. They might be hiding in someone's basement and they'd be there for 30 years and we have to find them later on. So I've been definitely in favor of the Flock cameras. As stated before, obviously the flooding issue has been an issue for the last couple of weeks, maybe the last month, and really this past weekend. I was out of town when the flooding was really happening, and I got an email from Director Baker's staff members, and so I just want to say thank you to Director Baker. If you're still here, thank you for supporting our neighborhood. I just got word that you were also going through our seniors' basements and actually seeing just some of the things that we experience on the north side of Kalamazoo. We understand that we are on muck land. We get it. But it doesn't mean that we have to continue to deal with the flooding. And we know there's flooding all over the place. And so, I also want to encourage you to maybe move this to a little bit more of the priority list, because we might need to invest into fixing this issue, hopefully this summer. I'm also a believer of you have not because you ask not. And so maybe we can look into providing sunk pumps to those houses that don't have sunk pumps. Just trying to be solution oriented. Don't want to beat this over the head or complain, because I'm all about solutions. So if that's a possibility, I would love to have conversations about that. I know I have a sunk pump in my basement. We're not new to it. Yeah, that is all I have. And then also, I just want to lift up again, Northside Day is happening August 8th, so I would like for everybody to participate in that. That's going to be an amazing day where we have a 5K walk or run in the morning through the Northside neighborhood. We'll have a community celebration at Lacrone Park, and we'll have a nice evening festival that evening. And so I just want to reiterate, too, with the flock cameras, it is going to be a very, I don't want to say it, but it's going to be a difficult summer if we cannot keep the crime rate down. And so we're going to have a community celebration at Lacrone Park, and it will be the first event that we've had since the previous shooting 5 to 6 years ago. And I know that that is a risk that I'm taking, but I'm willing to take because I love my community, I love my park, and there's not going to be anything happening under my watch. I'm definitely going to have KDPS there, going to be security and other things that are going to keep us all safe. So just wanted to lift that up and share that with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
All right. Good evening. My name is Lexi Jones. I'm here representing the Get the Flock Out of Kalamazoo campaign today. I first want to appreciate our community members' efforts towards trying to reduce crime and addressing our community concerns. However, it is a fact that the data retained in the flock safety cameras are property of the flock group itself and not at the discretion of KDPS. As of February 16, 2026, Flock has updated its terms again with the following. Flock has perpetual irrevocable licenses to all customer data for all purposes. All disputes must go to Georgia law arbitration. Liability is hard capped regardless of fault, and the non-appropriation exit for government customers has been narrowed to the point where it may not function as intended. These contracts create unconstitutional debt obligations for the municipalities that sign them, and as much as local law enforcement can try to regulate and limit the ALPR data, it is still under the oversight and ownership of the flock surveillance system itself to sell the data to third parties, regardless of the local regulations and ordinances. The stance from KDPS is that the data is accounted for, and then it should be a problem for them to plug into the transparency portal that allows for public audit of the data so that we can see where these searches are being made, what crimes or investigations are being prioritized, and who is requesting the data. If KDPS is collaborating with multiple agencies within Southwest Michigan on data sharing, even with provisions, then our privacy is already compromised. Grand Rapids, which is only 30 to 45 minutes away, has already been shown to misuse the cameras for political persecution of protesters and their complicity with ICE. You can try to regulate the hell out of them, but they are already licensed under Flock. It does not make us safer or more welcoming for those who are already facing discrimination and racial profiling from the police. There is also no strong evidence that these cameras prevent crime or make us any safer. Is it a tool to solve crime? But it also comes with a lot of extra add-ins and expenses. The work that I see towards abolition and reducing criminality in juveniles, people with mental illnesses and addiction and high risk of criminality are done by social workers, psychologists, teachers, neighbors, underpaid, unrecognized, and unrewarded people in the community, not those who police the behaviors of others and flag desirable or suspicious behavior. The decision for the city to choose these specific cameras over the already pre-established traffic cameras that did the exact same thing, but without the federal overreach and bypassing the need for warrants, which is part of what keeps our law enforcement accountable, or with the use of AI, shows the department's priority of convenience over safety and privacy for the rest of us. Flock and Ring cameras provide an easy access, setup, and subscription to use the services at the cost of the privacy and protections of our rights of neighbors. More and more cities are removing their cameras, and I hope that Kalamazoo can be an example for Michigan on the front against federal overreach and mass surveillance, making us more inclusive and welcoming without fear of prosecution.
Thank you. Next, please.
I live in Kalamazoo County. As you may have heard from other members of the public, flock safety is demonstrating a pattern of behavior I would characterize as deceptive. While I would like to go into further detail on this point, many of the facts still remain obscure. The details of the city's contract with flock safety are unknown, as well as the overall nature of the relationship between this vendor and Kalamazoo Public Safety. I hope that this meeting is the beginning of a process that will bring vital facts to light that will allow us to make informed decisions as citizens engaged in our communities. Recently, the city rejected a grant for $1.25 million from the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services I believe that the reason for this was straightforward. The grant and its design was adversarial and contradictory to the mission of community policing. Allow me to quote, at the time, Deputy Chief David Boyan in an article from NLive published in October 2021. We can use this technology, flock cameras, in places where we don't need witnesses, if we can utilize technology to help solve our cases. That really is the goal. I have to ask a question. Is this technology undermining the community partnerships that the police department should be building? I believe that this technology will further disconnect police officers from their environment and the communities they serve. Now, don't get me wrong. I can see the utility of this technology for law enforcement, but we have to ask ourselves some hard questions. Is the use of this technology ethical? Do the benefits outweigh the harms? Right now, there is no solid research that shows that this technology is effective at preventing crime. All we have is marketing from flock safety. Where should we go for reliable information? When you go to the Kalamazoo Public Safety website, you find an FAQ which sounds more like advertising for flock safety rather than anything objective. This company has resources to hire PR firms for ideal messaging and lawyers for expert arguments in their favor. What about those who are afraid to visit a clinic or hospital, go to a church, or even leave their house for fear of surveillance and repression? Who will speak for those who suffer in silence? I ask that you, members of the government, and us, members of the public, consider these critically important questions. We should take a pause on this technology and any others like it that pose such a high ethical risk. Automatic license plate readers, facial recognition technology, and AI systems which not even the engineers working on them could honestly inform you how they work and to whose benefit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Kyle Patnod. I'm a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo. I've lived in the Edison neighborhood for 6 years. I'm just going to read some facts here for you. I'm a representative of the Get the Flock Out of Kalamazoo campaign. There are over 100 flock cameras around the city of Kalamazoo, and they keep popping up. Flock cameras utilize an AI system which not only has been proven to misinterpret data, leading to false arrests and searches, but also poses a much broader ethical and environmental risk with the use of data centers which use massive amounts of drinkable water and create noise and heat pollution in the affected communities. Law enforcement agencies can and do share flock data to federal organizations like ICE. Earlier this month, Florida's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission were caught performing dozens of license plate lookups on flock cameras for ICE. The ACLU warns that, at minimum, this dragnet surveillance means warrantless tracking of everyone on the road. At worst, it means a digital police state wherein law enforcement officials in far-flung jurisdictions can track protesters, political opponents, immigrants, patients, and others not suspected of any crime and use the information to hurt them. Flock claims it protects people's privacy and legal rights by requiring all law enforcement officers to enter a search reason before accessing database results. However, this is not monitored, and there are a record number of entries simply stating the reasoning is search or look up. Flock network audits revealed thousands of searches of local organizations' networks by other organizations which do not appear in either their network sharing report lists of networks I'm sharing with, or transparency portals lists, or external organizations with access, meaning that despite the claims that the data gathered by KDPS is not being shared with anyone outside of Portage Police Department or those other organizations, there's no reason to believe that is true. Even when a police department chooses in Flock's application to restrict data access to its own officers, the user agreement gives Flock the right to disclose the local police department's data both to law enforcement nationwide and federal agencies for investigative purposes. Since Flock Safety began partnering with law enforcement, a growing number of officers have been found abusing the surveillance system. This includes personal searches that have resulted in charges for stalking. 75% of Flock's law enforcement customers have enrolled in the National Lookup Tool, which allows information sharing across the country between all participants. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Trevor. I've resided in Kalamazoo County since I was in grade school. I'd like to bring everybody's attention to information readily available on our city's own public safety flock camera FAQs page. There are a number of what I consider to be troubling and misleading justifications for the presence of the flock cameras which one could choose to focus on, and with respect to time constraints, I'll stick to one. That being the claim that since 2021, when the cameras were installed, we've seen a 51% decrease in the homicide rate. While this might be true if we cherry pick 2025 and compare it to 2020 arbitrarily, they are most synonymous with the height of the COVID pandemic, wherein substantial increases in criminality of all sorts were observed, and with no surprise, given the macroeconomic shocks it entailed. As I intend to show, this incredibly parochial lens falls apart quickly at explaining the reality when we zoom out. Since 2020, the homicide rate per 10,000 people in Kalamazoo are as follows: 2020, 19.6, 2021, 17.1, 2022, 15.1, 2023, 30.3, 2024, 13.7. In the previous decade, 2010 to 2019, in half of those years, the number was under 10. By contrast, 2025 represents the first year of the decade to do so at 7. This is welcome for sure, but I think it begs the question, how can one feel confident in any way attributing this decline to the flock cameras as opposed to a mere outlier? Or perhaps more optimistically, a return to the norms we were used to a decade ago before Flock Group as a company had hatched itself into existence. Had one set themselves out to be as bad faith as the city's official purporting of the data, would it not be just as easy to conclude, cherry-picking 2023, for example, notable as a year taking place after they were installed in 2021, that the effect was to significantly increase the homicide rate? It might, but this is not my goal. Anyone with an elementary statistics background would likely caution against inferring cause and effect in either direction, as do many studies. This being the case, what particular section of society would this piece of propaganda service to benefit, and why? For an amateur communist like me, it is clear. It is capital which computes in such a fashion, which is blind to the products of structural impoverishment, which has been allowed to seep just under the surface of our streets, and to its solutions, seeing not a crisis of growing pauperism in need of relief, but of a choice of vagabondry by nefarious and lazy types who can only be dealt with through greater levels of discipline. Capital chases blindly and anarchically profit in the form of commodified guns, surveillance technology, and cameras, which are demanded by the wealthy just as anarchically, and whose outsized grip on aggregate cash flow or creditworthiness at the very least crowds out whatever demand signals may exist for increases in education, housing, or healthcare for people at the lowest stratums of society. It is these broad lessons in conjunction with the local, espoused by many individuals today, which we should bear in mind when we ask how, as a community, it makes sense to propagate the existence of the cameras further, and as we consider the ways in which we seek to reorganize society for the prosperity of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Matt Griffith, and I've lived in Kalamazoo for 15 years. I am also here with the Get the Flock Out of Kalamazoo project to speak out against Flock and other ALPR cameras. They create a surveillance net that can be used to track everybody throughout the city. It gathers data that is then harvested and sold. We think that the data will stay just for our law enforcement uses, but in fact has been shown that it can and has been abused by other federal agencies. One thing I want to point out is that KDPS has made statements about Flock's safety, in particular security, cybersecurity. They claim that Flock safety has not been hacked, and neither have their cameras. This is misleading at best. So even Senator Ron Wyden and Congressperson Raja Krishnamoorthy wrote an open letter to the FTC asking them to hold Flock responsible for negligent cybersecurity practices, in which they outline how them not requiring multi-factor authentication puts the data that the police officers can access at risk to bad actors. They point out that there was one instance where 15 police accounts were stolen by a malware called InfoRipper, and if these accounts did not have the two-factor authentication, it would be much easier for them to just, with the login credentials, gain access to everything that officer would have access to, and then be able to store and use that data for their own means. The cameras themselves have been shown to be hacked. There was a paper at the end of last year written by John Gaines called Examining the Security Posture of Anti-Crime Ecosystems. This details 51 findings in which even Flock Safety themselves have reported to MITRE, M-I-T-E-R, even indicating some of these vulnerabilities as critical, in which it shows that these cameras can be remotely accessed. One here that I will talk about is that there's a button on the camera that you can press 4 times in a row. It then opens up a Wi-Fi access point in which has the password across all of their cameras is just the word security in all lowercase. And then from there, speaking on that network is an administrative API that you can just ask it to give you complete access to the camera. The security researchers were able to show that this data is in fact accessible, and there are no protections on the device to prevent the attacker from manipulating and sending it wherever they want. These cameras have not been shown to reduce crime, and I believe it is just KDPS who are trying to convince us because they want access to all of this data. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission. My name is Audrey, and I'm a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo County as well, and I'm also a 2-time combat veteran. I'm here to speak out against the Flock cameras that have been going up in our community for some time now, and I understand the need for security and all that, but my concern is, when does the crime change and the goalpost change? When does running a red light become a felony, and then once you rack up 3 of those, that they start coming after you? At this point, they can pick and choose who they want to come after. I don't know if we're understanding that on a grand scale, because even if Flock has to delete their stuff, where's that information go? Palantir, do they have to do it? Or is it a national security risk to delete that data? These are things we all need to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hey everyone, I'm Ewan Simpson. I'm with the Get the Flock Out of Kalamazoo campaign. I don't have anything massively prepared, just like to kind of reply to some of the statements that have been made about this technology before. And I firstly want to appreciate everybody who was speaking for and against these cameras. I think it's important to have an open dialogue, and I think ultimately it was that dialogue that was missing before these cameras actually got implemented. So, we're doing a lot of catch-up stuff. I think from most people, they are coming from a place of wanting to not do harm to our community, whether that's immediate harm that's happening in our community by using this so-called crime-fighting tool to kind of stop this. But what we're trying to do is stop, potentially more serious harm, which we're using, providing a fascist government this technology that can be used in horrific ways. One thing I do want to respond to is that somebody insinuated that this campaign, is coming from outside of the city, that it isn't necessarily a local thing. No, that's untrue. We are, local. We have a petition of 400 plus people that's growing every day who are not happy, believe it or not, but those people exist in this community. And we are not part of a national campaign either. We are just one of many local groups who are realizing that we want this technology removed from our city. Interestingly, one of those groups that have been successful in removing Flock cameras from their city is the great city, the great area of the Silicon Valley. Now, it might make you wonder, why would perhaps the community that is most versed from a technical perspective about this technology, why would they want it removed from their city? It gives me pause to think, hang on a second, do they know something we don't? So I think that's just a really interesting thing. A really interesting thing as well that a lot of people were saying is they're all for this technology as long as, we're not sharing it with the baddies, we're not sharing it with ICE and other federal agencies. And at the end of the day, I do appreciate that concern, but that's not something KDPS is in control of. They have opted out of a checkbox. They have opted out of an online program. But at the end of the day, KDPS aren't in control of the hardware. They aren't in control of the software. They are clients to a wider thing. And at the end of the day, we have to ask, does our community, it doesn't matter if we trust KDPS, it's do we trust Flock Safety? Do we trust a Silicon Valley tech company? Do you trust Mark Zuckerberg? Do you trust Jeff Bezos? I fucking don't, Why would you support Flock Safety and trust them that they're going to hold this data nice and secure? Of course they're not. You must be so naive to think that and to trust them. You just got to think about it for 2 seconds, in my opinion. Really, one of the more important points as well is, about saying that KDPS no longer shares this data in this national system. We no longer share that data. We have to realize that for the longest time, the police department wasn't aware that they were sharing this data on a national scale. And that's appalling. That is unbelievable. And it shows that the Department of Public Safety doesn't actually have a firm grasp on this technology and how it's used. So they're not actually, qualified to talk about these technical points and say, oh, the data is secure and safe, and don't worry, they delete things afterwards. So I think we just need to take this all into context. At the end of the day, the tech industry is in bed with the Trump administration. They're making a lot of money, and by allowing these cameras to continue in our community, we are setting this community up for God knows what. We have a midterm election coming up. We will see what, this administration, which has, let's just say a bad record with ensuring election security, we will be seeing these cameras used in a fashion that hurts people's democratic rights at the most basic level, as well as going on to hunt immigrants, hunt down our trans brothers and sisters, hunt down some of the most vulnerable people in our community. So I do want to just make sure that we do get the flock out of Kalamazoo. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Next, please.
I'm also here for the Get the Flock Out of Kalamazoo movement. I would just like to address some other concerns about the infrastructure on the side of the road. People driving, these cameras have gone up, the poles are really close to the curb. I don't know if they're being put in with concrete foundations or if they're just being driven in. But there's a concern about safety, right? People aim for mailboxes, soft bushes, they know not to aim for a tree, right? That's not safe. I'm not going to win that. So I do wonder the safety of mounting these cameras so close to the road on top of all the other security concerns. They're mounting on public infrastructure. I don't know if you guys are approving that. I know other public municipalities aren't a fan of that. Even state government isn't a fan of, adding extra infrastructure components to signs and poles. So I'd just like to talk about that. Interfering with local construction, right? They're in the way. Calling Miss Dig for a pole in your front yard. Who's responding to that? Is there infrastructure you're going to hit, damage? Who repairs them? Not great for the nefarious tracking in the wrong hands. That doesn't build trust for the community, where police are tracking behind the desk rather than being out working with the residents and the community that they serve. I'd also like to talk about the additional concern of the cost of this. You're getting it for free or reduced or whatever contract they talked you into and what you signed, but did you read? I mean, I'm sure you read it, but what didn't they include, right? What is beyond that contract that they're doing behind the scenes that maybe you aren't aware of, And similar to Uber and Lyft and even Netflix, it starts out cheap and then it keeps rising in costs. So where's the ceiling? How much are we gonna keep collecting this data? Is it safe? Is it secure? And then just, if you're getting it for your cheap, you are the product. Is it worth being sold and selling out more and more data of the residents? Especially because it's a third-party company out of Georgia, which is interesting. We don't have a local that we could support. You guys are just going for this big company that came out of Georgia and was like, here, this is a good idea. So not a fan of Flock, that's all.
Thank you. Next, please.
What's up, y'all? Alejandro Rodriguez. Good to see you guys. Just want to read a few examples of the benefits of flock cameras in reducing crime. Homicide investigations. Of the last 8 homicides solved by KDPS, the LPR, which is the license plate reader data, was instrumental in every case. Since 2021, LPRs have played a critical role in solving 23 homicide investigations. Overall, murders are down 53% compared to 5 years ago prior to implementing these cameras. Gun violence reduction. LPR data is reviewed following virtually every shots fired and non-fatal shooting incident. Since implementation, assaults with firearms are down 49%, and overall reports of shots fired have decreased 57% compared to 5 years ago. Child abduction recovery. In 2021, a vehicle was stolen from a convenience store with 2 children inside, ages 18 months and 5 years old. Using this data, officers located the vehicle in under 2 hours, and both children were safely recovered and returned to their families. Property crime and theft. Following a series of storage unit burglaries involving over $100,000 in stolen property, this data identified the suspect vehicle, leading to arrest and recovery of a significant portion of the stolen items. Overall, property crime is down 39% compared to 5 years ago. Human trafficking investigations. LPRs have been used multiple times to identify and apprehend individuals involved in the sex trafficking of women and children. Auto theft reduction. Flock cameras have significantly improved the recovery of stolen vehicles and identification of suspects. Motor vehicle theft is down 35% compared to 5 years ago prior to LPR implementation. Drug overdose investigations. In April 2023, officers responded to 18 overdoses, resulting in 7 deaths. Flock data was instrumental in identifying the individual responsible for distributing the drugs, leading to multiple convictions for overdose-related deaths. Kidnapping response. In July 2023, a suspect assaulted residents and kidnapped an infant belonging to his ex-girlfriend. A flock camera captured the suspect's vehicle leaving the city. Within 25 minutes, the vehicle was stopped and the child was safely returned to the mother. Mobile nuisance parties. Flock cameras have become a critical tool in addressing long-standing issues with mobile nuisance parties using LPR data to identify and track vehicles involved in repeated violations. I'm in favor of keeping this system in our city. Over the last 15 years of my life, I've been doing everything I can to combat against crime in my community, and that goes for the 15 years prior, which, you know, I was an individual helping lead that crime. I thank God for changing my life and allowing me to live my life differently. I get to raise my children differently, and, you know, I got my son with me, so I'll be able to teach him how to do this as well. So for generations to come, I'll be in favor of systems like this because they're helping us reduce crime and save lives. And my biggest point tonight is that, you know, when those children were found in that stolen vehicle, they were returned to their mother. And so not only are we reducing crime, but we're also keeping families whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Esteban Juarez, former city commissioner. I'm a pastor in this community, football coach, advocate, mentor, and I was here for the community of the whole meeting, and Commissioner Slaby said something important about former commissioners doing work and us not just coming in and changing that stuff. And if it does get changed, how do we kind of manage that in doing the right thing? And you can see it, it's online, and, you know, I'm not gonna put words in her mouth, but what I took from it is I was one of the individuals who supported Flock up on the dais with many other things like Station 2, PALS, the Cultivation Center, and all the work we did together to make this community better. Now, some people are concerned about Flock, but you heard Alejandro speak about some statistics, and Flock's is just another tool, like a screwdriver in my tool bag. But I also have a drill, so when that screwdriver doesn't work, I can use my drill. And these are simple tools to help keep our community safe. Now, in regards of policing, I've never met another chief of police who has the humility that David Boyson has, and how he is cultivating humility in the department and changing practices by partnering with community members and organizations and people. It is an honor to be part of this community, and I'm one who's been affected by gun violence. On Father's Day, when my 3-year-old son was shot in the leg 10 years ago, that affected me. Flock wasn't around. The individual wasn't caught. And so I wish that was. Now we have a system that's working. It's a tool that's helping making our community better. It's not the end-all be-all. There's other tools that are going to come along the line that we're going to support or not support, that are going to be helpful or harmful, and we get to determine that. And you see the statistics. You read, Alejandro just read a bunch of statistics, and that's one way that the police department is reducing violence and crime in our city, right? Not just that. I remember going through the Police Citizens Academy, and that was so helpful to understand the dynamics of being in the position of a police officer when it comes to these things, right? And so I urge you guys to please continue to look closely at what's taking place in our community, to take the walk in the community like manager has, right? To see what's really happening out here. The people who are affected by gun violence, black and brown communities more than anything, but you had a bunch of white people come up here against flock, right? That's a form of white supremacy. You had a bunch of colored people coming here in favor of flock. So I'm saying we got to think about this clearly and use the intelligence that God has given us to create a better Kalamazoo. And I think you guys can do it. That's why you guys are elected, right? We believe in you guys. And so I'm for the flock cameras because it helps. It's just one way that helps. I know one statistic that hasn't been told. The amount of times since flock has been in existence, how many times ICE has used it, or the police department has allowed ICE to use it. You know what that number is? 0. 0, okay? Now, that means, do we trust what the police department is doing? Do we see the transparency that's happening? And can we step into that more, right? So there's statistics that show that. But I built a relationship with the police department and many people in the police department, and I'm in support of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, Bill Cartmel, 1712 Green Lawn in Kalamazoo. A lot of important things being discussed here tonight. I almost am embarrassed to bring my topic up, but this seems to be the only venue open. So, update on the closure of Peak Street from 2 years ago. In June of 2024, the commission voted to decertify Peak Street, the so-called Play Street. Mainly it was a housekeeping action since the city was still receiving Act 51 funds for a street that had been closed to traffic for almost a year. However, recognizing that the survey of residents showed a very close split between for and against closure, the mayor and several commissioners recommended continuing community discussion regarding a possible hybrid or compromise option. The then city manager recognized, quote, a need to have staff re-engage around the hybrid solution, end quote. And Director Mitchell recommended a 1, maybe 2-year trial to see if activation of the street actually happens, and if not, come back and reconsider recertification and reopening Peak Street. We're back. In August of that year, a small group of us got together with Director Mitchell to discuss our ongoing concerns. He agreed to discuss our concerns with staff, but wanted to see what the committee that was developing the new neighborhood plan would come up with. So to stay engaged, my wife and I joined the neighborhood board. We've attended almost every meeting of the committee working on the neighborhood plan. Unfortunately, to date, there's been no official word from the city about any discussions regarding a possible hybrid or compromise option. There's also been no official discussion in meetings of the Neighborhood Plan Committee regarding a possible compromise. And the West Main Board continues to take the position that this is an issue between the city and the small group of neighbors who initially proposed the idea of a play street, and not an issue for the board to be involved in. In the past 1 to 2 weeks, the temporary board barriers on Peak Street have been replaced by a somewhat more permanent, larger planter boxes, something the board had been told 2 years prior would not happen until the issue had been resolved. However, based on comments left by neighbors at the recent Imagine Kalamazoo 2035 event at K College, there still seems to be an interest in exploring a hybrid or compromise option for Peak Street. The bottom line for me is it's been quite frustrating. We've stayed involved, attended many meetings, patiently waited to discuss compromise solutions, only to see planters placed and no discussion. My hope is for increased transparency from city staff regarding any discussions or decisions about Peak Street. Also, my hope is to recognize that there continues to be very little activity on the Play Street other than the 3 to 4 planned events a year. And finally, I hope for a commitment from the city to look into finding a possible compromise solution that could include the essence of the Play Street concept while acknowledging and addressing the negative effects of the street closure. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak with you. My name is Maureen Cartmill. I live at 1712 Green Lawn Avenue in direct view of Jones Park and what was Peak Street, now considered Play Street. I wanted to give an update on the Jones Park Play Street area. It has been almost 2 years since the street was certified and since we addressed the commission. Green Lawn and Grand Avenue are on the base of 6 hills. Winters, to say the least, are difficult to navigate, especially for those living in the back of the neighborhood. Previous winters, a school bus slid backwards at the stop sign at the top of Woodside. A call had to be made to the KPS for assistance. This year, a garbage truck attempted to stop at the stop sign, slid backwards and over a curb. They rocked the truck for 20 minutes and left a 12-inch rut. I think we need Peak Street open. A family parked on Woodside to go sledding in Jones Park. Their car could not navigate the hill to leave. They had to back through the Play Street barricade, go halfway down the street, gun the engine, make it up the hill, and blow through the stop sign. Neighbors and city workers driving through the neighborhood know that stop sign because they know you can't stop without backsliding. Neighbors had used Peak Street as an alternative exit. I think we need Peak Street open. Snow removal and leaf pickup are huge headaches now that Peak Street has been closed. Without access, snow plows leave hills of snow and ice to the entrance of the park. Climbing to gain access to the park over these mounds is dangerous. Snow and leaf removal teams work hard and they do the best that they can. I've spoken with them. I think we need to have Peak Street open. Jones Park has become a dog park with many dogs running unleashed. I love dogs, but I've spoken to neighbors who have stopped going to Jones Park due to dogs running loose. Neighbors and dogs have both been charged by unleashed dogs. When Peak Street was open, occasional traffic kept dog owners more alert and their dogs leashed and in check. Jones Park has always been used and prized. It's a beautiful open green space. Picnics, frisbees, egg hunts, wildlife viewing are daily activities. We used to have young soccer teams practice in the park, but now there is no adjacent parking. There's a tot lot playground, a beautiful play area and gathering place the city renovated. One street over from the Play Street. It is central to the neighborhood. On the Play Street, we observe walkers, not bikers, daily. But there's always been walkers, dog walkers, and strollers because it has the greatest field of vision in the entire neighborhood. Cars are visible coming in both directions. So here's a timeline to consider. 2022, the Play Street pilot was initiated. 2024, Peak Street was decertified, and we were told to give it a year. 2026, it's been 4 years now. There are 3 to 4 observed organized activities a year on Peak Street or Play Street. I think we need Peak Street open and to discuss solutions that meet all neighbors' needs. I have to say, I just recently attended the Peace House and Oprah Roan's presentation. One of the statements, and of course, the amazing things that they do, we've always been supportive of them, is a comment that they made that in the neighborhoods, we need to be listeners. We need to listen to people's needs, and all of a sudden it struck home. We need more people to listen within our very own neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
Edward Nickerson, City of Kalamazoo. For the lady's question on the metal recyclers, that property and several properties around there are highly toxic. So they would have to dig down real deep and haul off all of the toxic stuff, because I've dug down pretty deep and it's nothing but black dirt. There's no way you'll get rid of that toxic out of there. I understand that they're going to put in these little islands in the middle of the street for people to use to get across the street. I know several years back they put one over on Patterson Street where the Kellhaven Trail is. And they only brought it up about as high as a curb on the road. And during the winter, everybody would smack into it because they didn't put up a section so people would know that it was there. So I'm sure you guys are gonna design it right this time. That way they don't have to rip it out and redo it. And here's the fact. Obama signed an executive order that any president in the future can call the military into any state and they can federalize all police forces. There ain't no way you're gonna get around it. Might not be this president, but it'll sure be another president.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Toby Hannah Davies from Isaac. I was really very pleased to be at the groundbreaking for the Cal Recovery building newly named the William Schmay House, and I was particularly pleased. I want to thank you, Mayor Anderson, for your comments there when you talked about how long it has taken for the Cal Recovery House to get to this stage, and also Matt Hollander's previous project, the Creamery, which took 9 whole years. And I think this is a direct quote that you said, let's figure out a way to make it not so doggone hard. And I agree with that so much. And I am hoping you had a really good discussion at the work session earlier, Committee of the Whole. I'm hoping that you would make it one of your goals, one of your SMART goals, to expedite the whole development process. I know the Cal Recovery was a very complicated process and project with many wonderful features with different kinds of funding, but most of them are not that complicated, and I'm hoping that if a project is including some good affordable housing, truly affordable, more deeply affordable like Cal Recovery, and if it's in an underserved neighborhood or a brownfield recovery area, that you could incentivize those projects. And I'm just wanting to make sure that you know that LA has done something really cool called laexpedite.com. Check out that website, laexpedite.com, and I believe they made the site planning process 60 days maximum for projects that were priority for them. And I think Grand Rapids has done something similar, and also Canada. So there's some good models out there that we should be looking into, and it seems to fit SMART goals really well. I had to look up what it stands for. Goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. I really support that for this incentivizing. Before I go, I want to thank you for the composting. I want to thank Justin Gish and the others in sustainable work for the composting. Every single one of the free gifts is gone, and I've been doing the composting regularly every Sunday from my church's coffee hours, from events that I'm at, and from the Heritage Community Senior Living where I am. There's a lot of participation. It's really easy to take compost to the city drop-off site on Stockbridge, which is open to everybody. And it's so important. Did you know that food, if it gets in the landfill, cannot decompose? Because there's no oxygen. It turns into methane, which is a worse gas than CO2 for the environment, worse greenhouse gas. So composting is really important for us to do. I know you're all really tired. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers who would like to take advantage of this public comment period this evening? Seeing no one, public comment period is closed. Question, commissioners, we do have a presentation coming up on our program year action plan, and of course, more business to do after that, which includes not only our consent agenda, but a couple items on a regular agenda. We'll have another opportunity for public comment. Is everybody okay with keeping going? Do you want to take a quick bio break here before we head on? That's what I like to do. So we're going to take just a 10-minute break here, and then we'll jump back into it with renewed energy. I do want to say thank you. Most people are gone now, but thank you to everyone that did take the time, made the effort, took advantage of public comment time this evening. All right, okay, we're all back. I hope that little break helped everybody. And I was just reminded here, as before we get actually started on the public hearing, by Commissioner Pradel here, is that we actually have a room full of very patient executive directors of a variety of organizations and staff. I see you, been hanging with us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know you didn't realize that you could have gone home, had supper, taken a nap, and come back at 9 o'clock for this part of our agenda, but you didn't. So you're here with us, we're in this together, and I appreciate that, and thank you for reminding me about that, Commissioner Pradel. So now we're down to F on our agenda, which is public hearings, and I would like to now open a public hearing to receive comments on the program year 2026 HUD action plan required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And Manager Hankins, is there a presentation on this item? I assume there is.
Yes, Mayor, there is a brief presentation. We have staff Julie Johnson, our compliance specialist, as well as our community development manager, Sherilyn Parsons.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners. Tonight, I am going to be talking about our program year 2026 action plan. The City of Kalamazoo has been a participating jurisdiction of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or as we all know it, HUD, for over 50 years, receiving Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership funding to address community needs. The Community Development Block Grant program, or CDBG, has been around since 1974 to allow a more locally driven approach to community development. The goal of this program is to support communities through its three basic principles of providing decent housing, a suitable living environment, and expanding economic opportunities for low-income households. To ensure these principles are followed, any activity funded must meet a national objective, which is to either benefit low-income families, prevent or eliminate slum or blight, or meet an urgent need. The Home Investment Partnership Program was created in 1990 under the National Affordable Housing Act. It is the largest HUD grant designed exclusively for the creation or rehabilitation of affordable housing. It is also the program grant that allows us to do a tenant-based rental assistance program. There are some specific rules related to home, which include a primary focus on assisting those that make 60% or less of the area median income, requirements for long-term affordable units based on the amount of home investment within each unit, and a requirement to match funds from our nonprofit and development partners. While the City of Kalamazoo is considered an entitlement community, which means we do not have to compete for these grant funds, there are still regulatory requirements we must complete to receive the dollars. The first is a consolidated plan, which identifies local housing and community development needs and creates goals and strategies and expected outcomes for the 5-year period of the plan around those needs. The city adopted a new consolidated plan in 2025 after a significant community outreach effort. The plan includes 3 primary community development goals and a 4th goal related to administration of the grants. The community development goals, in no particular order, include attainable and affordable housing, which prioritizes preservation of existing housing stock, providing affordable rental housing, ensuring that housing is safe and stable, and increasing the diversity of housing types. Expanding access to public service grants, which help the underserved, support stability of low-income households, advocate for programs for the unhoused, and for violence prevention. And finally, providing funding for neighborhood solutions, beautification, and improvements, particularly in our core CDBG eligible neighborhoods. The next regulatory requirement is an annual action plan, which outlines the HUD funding, how HUD funding will be spent to support the goals, priorities, and outcomes that we've established in our consolidated plan. For program year 2026, HUD is allocated $2.1 million from the CDBG and home programs to the city. In addition, in any given year, we may have some funds that need to be reprogrammed, and this year the majority of these funds came from a housing loan repayment to the city. Finally, we expect to generate an additional $178,000 in program income in 2026 for a total budget of $2.8 million. The requested projects and their associated budgets for program year 2026 are outlined on this slide. You'll note that in the action plan, there are public service activities that actually total $220,000, even though this slide indicates $100,000 to public service from the 2026 budget. That is because an additional $120,000, which was approved in the 2025 action plan, has been included in this action plan. And that was due to HUD's timing, and that these dollars were recommended to a potential activity, these dollars were not recommended by our Community Development Act Advisory Committee to a potential activity until 2026. So those dollars and their outcomes have been added to this plan. So the outcomes under housing include critical repair to 79 owner-occupied single-family homes through Community Homeworks, Milestone Senior Services, Kalamazoo Valley Habitat for Humanity, and Kalamazoo Neighborhood Housing Services. Housing Resources will provide 40 to 45 households with rental or security deposit assistance. 3 rental units will be rehabbed within New Village Park, an affordable housing project, and at least 1,500 housing inspections will occur within the eligible neighborhoods by our city's code team. For public services, the Community Development Act Advisory Committee has recommended funding for Catholic Family Services ARC Drop-In Shelter, which provides weekly prevention and supportive services to homeless, runaway, or in-crisis youth. Community AIDS Resource and Education, who will provide rental assistance to those living with HIV/AIDS. Legal Aid of Western Michigan, who provides legal services with a focus on housing for low-income families in the city. Kalamazoo Literacy Council's Parent Literacy Together program, which is to help low-income parents become first teachers of their children through multi-generational learning activities. KC Ready For's expanding equitable pre-K access for low-income families, which addresses equitable and accessible pre-kindergarten learning to promote school readiness. And then finally, the YWCA Kalamazoo Survivor Stabilization Initiative, which addresses survivor safety, violence prevention, and housing stability for low-income residents experiencing domestic or sexual violence. And then finally, under our neighborhood solutions goal, we're proposing funding to the Northside neighborhood for a public improvement project, a blight elimination project at 322 East Stockbridge within the Edison neighborhood, and code inspections within our CDBG eligible neighborhoods. The action plan public process, the public hearing this evening, is the final step in that approval process for the plan. Final submittal to HUD can be no later than May 15th. At the conclusion of the public hearing, staff is requesting approval of the 2026 action plan as it continues to support the goals, priorities, and outcomes that we've established for our community in our 5-year consolidated plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Commissioners, questions for staff at this time? All right, thank you so much. Seeing no questions, I just did want to remind people, this is an abbreviated version that we saw this evening, and I know everyone doesn't, we're going to be acting on this, everyone doesn't have the opportunity necessarily, to go there quickly tonight, although you could online. But if you go to the city website and go to our agendas and the agenda for tonight, you can see an extremely detailed version of this action plan there that has more specifics in it. So anyway, appreciating that. Is there anyone here in the chambers that would like to comment on this item? You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and whether you live in the city.
Thank you very much. My name is Eric Herman. Good evening, Mayor Anderson, Vice Mayor Duncan, and Commissioners. I am the Program Manager for Case Management at Housing Resources, and I'm here to speak in support of the Program Year 2026 Action Plan and to thank the city's Community Development Act Advisory Committee and the Community Planning and Economic Development team for the work that went into it. This plan clearly builds on the housing, neighborhood, and public service goals the city has already committed to, and it reflects what we're seeing on the ground in Kalamazoo. These investments matter. They help keep housing affordable, strengthen neighborhoods, and make sure people aren't falling through the cracks. In particular, support for tenant-based rental assistance is critical. Through programs like HRI's Home Forward, these resources help people cover security deposits and rent while also working toward long-term financial stability. We truly value the city's partnership with community organizations and shared commitment to real practical solutions. Approving this action plan is another important step toward more stable housing and healthier communities here in Kalamazoo. And we strongly encourage the Commission to approve the Program Year 2026 Action Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for your time tonight. My name is Trisha Kelly, and I am the Director of Housing here at CARES Sexual Wellness Services. We are a local nonprofit that services 10 counties in Southwest Michigan with offices locating in Kalamazoo as well as Benton Harbor. We provide medical as well as non-medical case management services to people living with HIV as well as preventative services such as HIV and STI testing. We offer personal protection items and medications such as PrEP and DoxyPep to the community. We also have our own clinic called Iridescent Health, which provides LGBTQ+ specific health care to our clients as well as the community of Kalamazoo. We pride ourselves in being a safe and welcoming agency for people's sexual health needs, and we are very honored for this opportunity. So with that being said, we were very excited to learn of HUD funding received by the city. As we know, there is a great need in the city of Kalamazoo for affordable and stable housing. Housing stability is essential to ensure a person's physical, financial, and mental health, or what we like to say at CARES, housing is healthcare. This additional funding will assist underserved populations access services and resources in the city of Kalamazoo. This funding will support economic development and stability for low-income households and will only further benefit the community's need for safe and affordable housing. CARES Housing Department would utilize these funds to provide rental assistance, utility assistance, and permanent housing placement for low-income clients who are living with HIV and are facing housing instability. This program would ensure that our unhoused and housed clients are able to maintain sustainable housing while also maintaining adherence to their HIV treatment and clinical appointments. These funds will assist our clients and their household with eviction prevention, utility bills, move-in costs, and security deposits. Therefore, we would be able to assist low-income households in maintaining their housing or assist them with moving into affordable housing. CARES serves multiple vulnerable populations, and this funding would provide further access and housing stability for those at risk. Thank you all so much for your time and consideration. We truly appreciate this opportunity for CARES.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, next, please.
Hello, everyone. I thank you for your time. My name is Triana Martinez, and I serve as the Director of and I serve as the Director of Housing Initiatives at the YWCA of Kalamazoo. I know it's been an extremely long evening, so I will keep my statements brief. I want to start by asking you all to imagine something with me for a second. Imagine that you're escaping an abusive partner, and after years of enduring abuse, you finally make the decision to take your power back and leave. Maybe with your children, maybe just with what you can carry in a small bag, and you walk through the doors at the YWCA. You're scared, exhausted, and unsure of what comes next, but you know that you can't go back. In that moment, what you need most is safety, and right behind that, you need stability, you need safe housing. Not weeks from now, not months from now, you need a plan that starts today. That's where my team comes in. At the YWCA, we don't just provide shelter, we build pathways to stability. We work with survivors to find secure housing, cover rent and utilities, navigate barriers like past evictions or debt, and build relationships with landlords willing to give families a second chance. Not every family that we serve needs to relocate. Some need support in creating an individualized safety plan. Others just need access to safety tools like Ring cameras, door alarms, window locks. Others need support in advocating to their landlord that they need to transfer units for their safety. Our role is to meet survivors where they are and make sure that they can stay safe wherever that may be. For many of the families we serve, safe housing is the difference between moving forward or going back to harm. And that is why timely, consistent support matters. The Kalamazoo County prosecutor noted in 2025 that their office typically sees about 3 deadly domestic violence cases per year locally. This is not rare, and it's happening right here in our community. We also know that the most dangerous time for a survivor is when they are trying to leave their abusive relationship, and the risk increases even more during pregnancy. This is the reality of the work that we do, and the truth is that intimate partner violence does not discriminate. Every person in this room has either experienced it themselves or knows someone, a friend, a family member, or colleague who is currently dealing with it or has. This work is intensive, and it requires coordination, trust building, and resources. Recently, we experienced staffing reductions and have had to close entire programs, and I want to be honest about what that means for survivors. It means that when someone is finally ready to walk through those doors and regain their power back, there's fewer people available to support them. It means that our most critical supportive services are at risk for going offline altogether. The city has made it clear that housing stability and homeless prevention are priorities, and we can meet that by passing the housing plan in 2026 and giving the YWCA $35,000 outlined to continue providing critical services for survivors.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Parent Literacy Together program of the Kalamazoo Literacy Council in partnership with the Adult Education and Training Program at Goodwill Industries. My name is Michael Evans. I'm the Executive Director and Chief Literacy Advocate of the Kalamazoo Literacy Council. We serve adults throughout Kalamazoo County who want to improve their literacy and language skills. And what we are so pleased is to be included within these wonderful programs that are about our city, supporting the parents who are the first teachers of their children. The Parent Literacy Together program that was part of this wonderful suite of initiatives is really designed to help those who are on their literacy and academic journey to be more confident and capable in their role as the first teacher of their children. In Kalamazoo County, 13% of our adult population struggles to read. Within our cities, particularly those with the most challenges, our core neighborhoods, is as high as 20%, 1 out of 5 adults who struggle to read. For those who are parents, we are looking to make sure that they have the skills to make sure that their children are prepared at every stage of their academic development. That means that early childhood education does not begin at preschool. It does not begin in school itself. It begins at home with a mom, dad, caregiver who can read. The Parent Literacy Together program is designed to increase access to services that help those parents to be equipped in those areas as that more confident and capable first teacher. These are for parents who have not yet completed their GED. These are for parents who are reading at below that 4th grade level. These are for parents who have yet to be able to acquire their English fluency, and yet they have the awesome and sometimes daunting responsibility of being the ones who guide their children through every stage of their academic development. This is a program that we have for every parent who comes into our services, but it's designed specifically to make sure that not only are they working on their academic skills, but there is a pathway to becoming part of the solution, because we have a career pathway to help train some of these parents to become early learning professionals and to serve in child care centers in the same neighborhoods where their children are going to school and receiving child care. We also provide for these parents free child care in our Little Scholars Child Development Center and monthly and weekly activities in many places in our community, such as the wonderful Literacy Lane, also known as a Play Street, along what we call the Arbor White Literacy Trail, and so many others. We are very much appreciative and urge you to consider and support the plan for this year's action plan, but also understand that literacy is the root solution to many community challenges, especially for those parents who struggle to read. Thank you very much for your consideration and for your support.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. All right, my name is Sharia Van Sparentak, and I am the Executive Director at Kalamazoo County Ready Fours. Just want to thank you guys for the consideration of this action plan. And our mission at KC Ready Fours is to ensure equitable access for all 3- and 4-year-olds in Kalamazoo County to be able to attend a high-quality preschool program. We partner with 54 different preschool programs in Kalamazoo County alone, representing over 90 classrooms. We are serving low to moderate income families in partnership with Head Start and GSRP, but very unique to Kalamazoo, we know that there's many families who do not qualify and really need that support. So right now, a family of 4 making $28,000 a year makes too much for Head Start. So at $28,000 for your annual income for your family, how would you pay the average cost of preschool of $10,000 a year? And at that, high quality program, so making sure it's more than just a really great daycare, but making sure that your child has their needs met, that your child is learning and developing and growing and getting what they need to start kindergarten. Oh, sorry, got a phone call. One of the things I would just like to add, personally, coming from a single parent household, I myself, without programs like KC Ready Fours, would not have been able to attend preschool and get where I have been able to today with my passion for education and a community leader within our nonprofit areas. We work with families as well, so in addition to giving them the support that they need to actually pay for pre-K, we are also ensuring that they have the support that they need, whether it is a referral to community resources, parent workshops that we do, employability services. We make sure they have the needs that they need as well through our family advocacy. And the teacher retention rates we're looking to reduce is really beneficial, as we know that that's a really challenging position and a very high turnover. So we are constantly reflecting on the different programs and services that we offer to make sure that the teachers have what they need. Very specific this year is we are working really intentionally with our partner programs to provide a classroom stipend. So we know that it is an underpaid profession, so we are providing a stipend and a minimum pay requirement for every lead teacher that is within one of our classrooms, making sure that they have more of a livable wage. Then if there's any remaining funds, they can use that to increase the wages for their associate teachers, their parapros, offer bonuses, medical health coverage, and monitoring how they're able to use that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Dobbins, and I'm honored to be here representing Catholic Charities Diocese of Kalamazoo. I have two of my colleagues in the audience, Shauna Henry, Director of ARC Services for Youth, and Nicole Cody, Director of Clinical and Family Services. Catholic Charities has been serving the Kalamazoo area for 50 years, providing social service, and in that time, 48 years, we've been committed to serving homeless youth and their families. The ARC Services for Youth serves hundreds of precariously housed youth every year through 3 different programs. We have an emergency youth shelter located on Kilgore Road that provides shelter up to 21 days. We provide outreach prevention services in the community, and we have a transitional living program that provides housing up to 18 months. While youth are enrolled in these programs, they have access to our Bridges mental health counseling program as well. These programs all have a similar goal: to find safe and stable housing for these children, develop strong and healthy relationships and lifestyle, learn positive decision-making skills, and to attain self-sufficiency. We're here today in support of the 2026 Action Plan, which includes our project, the ARC Youth Homeless Shelter Drop-In Services. This will provide homeless, runaway, and in crisis youth weekly drop-in services at our Van Domlin Center building located on West Edge Avenue in Kalamazoo. At these drop-ins, youth will be able to provided food, personal care and hygiene items, clothing. They'll be provided one-on-one consultation with a case manager who can connect them with community resources, and the completion of coordinated entry housing paperwork. They'll have access to a shower and laundry facilities, counseling services by a licensed therapist, and the ability to participate in therapy groups and life skills classes. They will also be connected to our other agency programs like our Bread of Life food program, emergency utility assistance, and our Caring Network support services for pregnant and parenting individuals. We can help them with the initial intake for our emergency shelter or complete the application for our transitional living program. These drop-in services will provide youth who are struggling with homelessness, mental health issues, and substance use a place to come for support and help. It will provide low-barrier, caring, non-judgmental space where they can come and get basic needs met from a trusted provider in hope that they'll be more open to additional services of counseling and support and therapy groups to improve their overall health. We thank you so much for your time and consideration of our drop-in service project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Yarborough, and I'm representing the Northside Association for Community Development, NACD, and where we focus on workforce development, housing, and economic development. The city's action plan makes it clear that the funding is essential to advancing affordable housing, housing stability, neighborhood investment, and public services. Initiatives like blight reduction, homeowners repairs, and neighborhood improvements are critical, but their impact is strongest when paired with trusted community-based organizations that do the work on the ground, like us. So we are the neighborhood association that wants to see our community grow. Entities within our neighborhood, including organizations, churches, streets, we want to see them thrive. So our work directly aligns with the city's vision, creating stronger neighborhoods and improving overall quality of life. And so we appreciate the city's continued investment in affordable housing, community-driven solutions, and we encourage ongoing support for programs that truly meet the residents where they are. So we're in fully support of this neighborhood, or the city's action plan for 2026. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Beth McCann with Kalamazoo Neighborhood Housing Services. For over 45 years, KNHS has served low to moderate income residents, helping them achieve and maintain home ownership through education, financial assistance, critical home repair, single-family new builds, and whole home rehabs. KNHS has been fortunate to receive CDBG and home funding for many of those years. It's helped our organization replace hundreds of roofs that are leaking, which is particularly relevant the last couple weeks. The phone has been ringing off the hook, and finish single-family new builds in our community. It helps us maintain and keep affordable housing for those that need it the most. It's also provided down payment assistance in the past to help people get to that final, the last little bit to get their home ownership goal met. So we support the 2026 consolidated plan, and we urge the City Commission to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Hannah Clark. I'm here with Drew Duncan. We're from Community Homeworks. Community Homeworks is a home repair nonprofit here in Kalamazoo, and we have a long history of receiving CDBG dollars. In fact, the first grant we received back in 2009 was a CDBG grant that really got our work started. We do support this action plan, which will continue our partnership with the city by completing critical home repairs, the majority of which will be in the core neighborhoods of Kalamazoo. These repairs will be everything from a furnace in the dead of winter to a ramp that can make a house accessible for a family again. These repairs and these grant dollars the repairs that these grant dollars allow us to complete can be transformational for a family and remove the stress of an unexpected home repair cost. This action plan, which proposed 79 homes be completed through the CDBG allotment, 50 of those homes will be completed through Community Homeworks, and 100% of the CDBG dollars that we get allotted will go directly into homes, either covering subcontractor invoices, material costs, or our in-house crew hours on a project.
Got nothing to add.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Toby Hannah Davies from the Isaac Housing Task Force. I just want to express full support for this action plan and for all the amazing agencies that are doing all different kinds of housing-related work. I was struck that there's $400,000 for rental housing inspections under code and property standards. And I wanted to take this chance to ask you if all units can be inspected in large housing developments, or really any low-cost housing developments where there are complaints. I think you know the ones I'm worried about. I'm not going to say what they are right here, but I believe that city inspectors are not seeing every single unit and giving certification to a large number of apartments. And I think people are afraid to complain, and we need to be very sensitive to the fact that we're not hearing about the inspections that really should be made that are not being included because the city's requirements aren't for every single unit to be seen by the inspectors. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in the chambers that would like to comment on this item, the 2026 action plan for our HUD dollars? Seeing no one else, I will now close the public hearing. Commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve the program year 2026 action plan budget, and budget amendment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hoffman.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Hess. Discussion, Commissioners. Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say to the city staff, thank you for the good work you all did on this plan. It is in direct correlation with the Blueprint for Peace. So these 6 outcomes are matching the 6 goals from the Blueprint for Peace. And that is powerful. We heard a lot today about tools. These are tools, the Blueprint for Peace, this action plan. Y'all did a good job on this one.
Other discussion, Commissioners? Okay, seeing none, then I'm just going to say in advance, I sit on a community housing development organization called a CHODO, which happens to be included in this plan. As a consequence, I will be abstaining on the vote. Clerk Borling, please, Commissioner Slavey.
I don't know when a good time is, but I have to abstain from this vote based on connections with organizations that receive this funding.
Okay. Just to clarify that, I happen to sit on the board as a volunteer position. I'm not in any way financially connected to it, but Commissioner Pradel?
Yeah, I was going to wait to the vote, but my employer is one of the employers listed in the plan as well, so I'll be abstaining.
So everyone else got to step up then. All right. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Again, I'll be abstaining as my employer is included in the program year 2026 action plan.
Commissioner Slaby.
Abstain.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
I'm abstaining because I'm a member of the Chodo board.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Now we are on to our consent agenda. Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. The following items are submitted for your consideration and approval. Item G1, approval of a contract extension with Eco Patcher, Inc. for 2026 spray patching in the amount of $129,600. Item G2, approval of a contract with L&T Painting for the beach water storage tank rehab project in the amount of $222,000. Item 3, approval of a 2-year professional services agreement with Stantec for water rate and water financial consulting services in the amount of $229,158. Item 4, approval of a professional services agreement with Nice Wonder Environmental LLC for the Spring Valley Dam improvements project in the amount of $355,000. Item 5, approval of a professional service agreement with Prine and Newhoff for construction engineering services related to the 2026 Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Non-Copper Service Replacement Project in the amount of $400,000. Item G6, approval of a contract supplemental and change order with Tetra Tech, Inc. for Phase 2 of the pump station's phosphate and electrical and instrumentation upgrades project in the amount of $542,505. Item 7, adoption of a resolution authorizing a community planning and Community Planning and Economic Development Director as the city's official representative and certifying officer for U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development grant documentation. Item G8, approval of the following appointment and term extensions for boards and commissions. The appointment of Seth Chapman to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for a term expiring on January 1st, 2028. The extension of Melissa Paddock's term on the Historic Preservation Commission for 6 months to expire on September 31st, 2026, or whenever a successor is appointed, whichever comes first. The extension of Fred Edison's term on the Historic Preservation Commission for 6 months to expire on September 31st, 2026, or when a successor is appointed, whichever comes first. Item 9, approval of a utility easement agreement with KSRR LLC for sanitary sewer installed as part of the Kalamazoo Event Center project. Item G10, approval of a non-motorized path easement agreement with CD Arena LLC for a non-motorized path installed as part of the Kalamazoo Event Center project. And item G11, approval of the minutes for the City Commission meetings on April 6, 2026.
Thank you, Manager Hankins. Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 11 and authorize the city manager to sign all related documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Slaby.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Pradel. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Slaby.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes, abstaining from items 9 and 10 due to an employer conflict.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The items on the consent agenda are approved. Next is the regular agenda. City Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. Approval of, item H1, approval of the sale of 808 Simpson Street in Kalamazoo Neighborhoods Kalamazoo Neighborhood Housing Services for the sale price of $500 and an amendment to the housing program's budget in the amount of $970.
Thank you, Manager Hankins. I presume there's not necessarily a staff report on this item. Are there any questions for staff on this item from commissioners? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this item H1? If so, please come to the podium, state your name, you'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, the recommended action is a motion to approve the property sale and budget amendment. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Slaby.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Wilson. Any discussion, commissioners? Seeing none, Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Slaby?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel?
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H2. City Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. Item H2, authorization for the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to accept a Brownfield Redevelopment Grant from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy in support of Cal Recovery Housing Project in the amount of $1 million, and approve a budget amendment for that same amount.
Thank you again, Manager Hankins. Is there a staff report on this item?
There is not.
No staff report necessarily, but an opportunity for questions. Any questions on this item, commissioners? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this item H2? If so, please come forward, state your name. Whether you live in a city, you'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no comments, the recommended action, commissioners, is a motion to authorize grant acceptance and approve the budget amendment. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Slaby, supported by Vice Mayor Duncan. Discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel?
Yes.
Commissioner Slaby?
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The motion passes. Next, reports and legislation. City Manager Hankins, do you have a report?
Yes, Mayor, just briefly. Today, the staff from various city departments, Public Works, CPED, Public Safety, conducted damage assessments in an area where impacted by flooding, 36 impacted residents. They completed assessments and also assisted those residents with support with draining out water from backyards and basements as allowed. So I just want to reiterate that we understand the impact this is having. Thank the staff for the work that they're doing. They will be out, I believe, again tomorrow to continue that work. So thank you, and just wanted the community to know that we are giving the support that we can to support you in this time. A few other items. The farmers market is scheduled to open the regular farmers market on Saturday, May 2nd. There will be a meeting, an open house with vendors hosted by the new operator on Wednesday, April 22nd. At this time, they've made contact, the operator has made contact with well over 400 vendors, all of whom have been contacted about the April 22nd meeting and the open house. So just wanted to share that with you. There are a few other things that are important. The Imagine Kalamazoo work continues. The community dialogue for the Design It phase continues with this month in multiple locations downtown. From Plans in Place will kick off on the Tuesday event, April 28th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Downtown Catalyst Center. And other Design It events continue through May 4th. So residents can learn more about this and go to the website at kalamazooCity.org/IK2035. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manager Hankins. I really appreciate your efforts and the efforts of your team. Clerk Borling, do you have a report?
Thank you, Mayor. I do tonight. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, in the agenda packet for tonight, there is a clerk's report, which includes 2 communications from the Environmental Concerns Committee, one regarding the ECC's involvement in decision-making processes for the governance of Asylum Lake Preserve, and the second, a communication regarding the fire at 1525 Lake Street on March 9th. And so those are there as informational items for you.
Thank you, Clerk Borling. Next on our agenda are commissioner comments, and I just want to remind everybody who may be watching and those of us here is that we also do have a closed session this evening, and unlike some of our closed sessions where we go into closed session and then we basically adjourned, we will be coming back to take action after our closed session this evening. So we'll be gone for a minute, and then we'll come back before we actually close it all out. So with that in mind, commissioners, anyone want to take advantage of this opportunity for commissioner comments? Commissioner Slaby.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to say that I really appreciate our city manager being out and interactive even over the weekend to connect with our residents on the north side and Edison, with city staff to assess flooding. We were added to one of the counties by the governor for emergency support, and so I appreciate us being very responsive in this matter as people are trying to deal with what has gone on and how that may have impacted them in their house. I wanted to also acknowledge the shooting that transpired a few days ago at our Davis Street Park in the Vine, right down the street from where I live. I actually passed by the park as it happened with police coming onto the scene, and I'm very sad that the gentleman did not make it. I think that there's certainly opportunities for Parks and Rec, for KDPS to work with the neighborhood. I'm glad that we apprehended the suspect, and I think there could be more discussions around how we can make sure people after this incident feel safe at the park moving forward. I wanted to acknowledge we had a couple of residents from West Main Hill speak up on the Play Street, which is a project, one of my first projects I led as a neighborhood activator when I worked for the city of Kalamazoo. And I think that we can definitely do a lot better as a city to listen to these concerns and provide a timely response. I don't think that it is acceptable that we've kind of left it in limbo the way that we have. Staff transitions, that just happens. But I know that the last time we kind of left it was saying, the response is going to be included in the neighborhood plan. Well, if there's no progress on the neighborhood plan, then it kind of just stays stuck. And I think that all residents, those that, want to see the Play Street continue to be open, those that want a hybrid model, those that want to just completely evaluate it, I think West Main Hill residents do deserve timely responses and consistent communications on the progress of this so we can ensure that people just feel included and understand where we are with the project. So I look forward to hearing an update on that from our city manager in the future. We heard a lot from people in the audience about flock cameras. Vice Mayor Duncan and I had the pleasure of stopping by KDPS and actually firsthand taking a look at the interface, which was, to me, really helpful just to even understand what this system looks like on the back end. And so, a woman in the audience spoke to this idea of having a forum, having an education piece component to this. I know that we have an FAQ online that anyone could go to if they have internet access to look through some of these questions, but I do understand the value of having a dialogue, community conversation around this, and I think it's important for people to better understand exactly how Kalamazoo is using this technology. What is Flock? What is ALPR, which is the AI, license plate reader technology, which there are several different vendors that provide that type of technology. What is our policy, which is available to the public. And I think that, the more conversations we have, I think it allows people to just have a better understanding. Not every community is using it the same way. Reasons why certain communities have decided to remove it entirely. If you look at what they've done, they've just moved on to another vendor. Or the reason why they removed it was because, of things that from what I can understand through the work that we've done with connecting with KDPS on this, is not what we do. And so I want to be, I want to listen to all constituents, their perspectives on this technology, using it as a tool, understanding exactly what we're doing as a community to use this tool. And I think that there's room for us as a city to steward those conversations with our partners, with our residents, with other stakeholders, to get a better sense of understanding around how this is being used. And then lastly, a gentleman in the audience also brought up about boards. I totally agree. I think we would, it would be awesome if we had a on-ramp into civic life where more people than just the traditional people that come on these boards, that have the time and confidence to get on these boards, you know, feel like they can be a part of this and share their voice and contribute in this way. And I think we could do a lot better with the user experience. You know, I know at our retreat, one of our colleagues mentioned an app. Maybe this is another reason why we should have an app. And I think that just as part of the boards, making sure everyone knows what boards are out there and what boards have open positions related to flat camera and just getting involved with oversight. You know, we do have the Citizen Public Safety Review and Appeal Board. And I think there's like several seats open. And you don't necessarily even have to live in the city. There's like seats open at large. And so, you know, I would just encourage people, if they do want to be more involved with oversight or contributing to policy, and just, you know, being more involved in understanding how it works, there are opportunities available right now that people could take advantage of. So just wanted to lift that up and make sure people are aware of those in the event that they are interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slaby. Other comments, commissioners? Commissioner Hess.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mayor. And excuse me, in response to Commissioner Slaby, yes, I believe that an app is a great thing. We would love to have it, but until then, until we have an app for the city, you actually can download the app as on your phone, and you can put it on your phone, and it is optimized for phone use. It is not quite an app yet, but you can have all the city information right there at your fingertips. And regarding the Davis Park shooting, I want to also acknowledge the work of our public safety officers from the time of the shooting, late afternoon, into the following morning. They worked all night long to track and apprehend the suspect, including with canines and including all the technology that we've been speaking with here tonight. And he was arraigned today and probably won't be seeing the light of day for a long time. So thank you to our public safety officers for their good work on that. This particular thing came to me in the mail, and you may have received one as well. It's addressed to current resident from the Center for Voter Information. Your voter registration form is enclosed. Do not discard. And in here is an envelope to send your information back to the city clerk. And it's addressed to the city clerk. And the city clerk assures me that if you are registered, you need not re-register. This is something that you just don't have to do. You can put this right in your recycle bin. And to be sure that you are registered, go to mi.gov/vote and make sure that your registration is current before the elections in May and August and November. A few things happened in the community. This Cultivate 269, this, I don't know if you were going to talk about it, Mayor, you were there. This was a fantastic event, and earlier today at the 5 o'clock Committee of the Whole, we had Western Student Assembly present to us about some good things that Western is doing and how they're continually interfacing with the city. So Cultivate 269 was a collaboration between the Kalamazoo Forward Ventures Group and Western Michigan University, where they had taken it down to 9 applicants, and 9 applicants made a 4-minute pitch with 2 minutes for questions, regarding their entrepreneurial inventions or thoughts and what they were going to do to improve life in Kalamazoo. And the winner was a young man with his invention was called One-Shot AI. This is a good thing about AI, where he's using AI to translate, to do a medical translation from a patient to a doctor and back and forth. So he won $100,000 with his idea to further his idea and hopefully keep him in Kalamazoo along with his talents. The other 8 were wonderful. I happened to meet with another one yesterday to get his, or the other day to get his great ideas about volleyball. So there were 9. They were all wonderful. So kudos to Western Michigan. Kudos to Kalamazoo Forward Ventures for putting this together. It's going to be hopefully an annual thing. We did mention the City Manager Hankins did mention the Imagine Kalamazoo Design It Downtown stuff that's happening and between April 28th and May 4th. And if you would like to, if you have some information to share with the city about downtown, and don't tell me you don't, because I read online comments. And I know that there are people who believe that downtown can be improved. And we want your information. So online, again, go to Imagine Kalamazoo 2035 online and find all of those dates from April 28th. And then there's all kinds of things happening at the Art Hop and meetings and an arts and culture panel discussion. So please go to that and have your input on downtown. This Saturday, we've been talking tonight about compost. We've talked about, we gave the proclamations to composting and Earth Day and Arbor Day. Today, on Saturday from 10 to 1 at Mayor's Riverfront Park, bring your EPS foam, large pieces of cardboard, dental plastics, old electronics, your used water filters, and documents for secure shredding. And new for this collection are textiles, used clothing and fabric scraps. Do not throw that away. That is not a good thing for our landfills. So love what we're doing with environmental awareness and especially for Earth Day. Next. I do have the communication to the City Commission from the Environmental Concerns Committee where they recommend certain things, and I'm just going to request the City Manager and Public Services to actually craft a response to them with their 4 questions below, especially that they are related to the fire of March 9th, if we have that information. And then lastly, I would like to give a big shout out to our own Chief Operating Officer, Laura Lamb. Laura has been selected as a 2026 Woman of Achievement Award for the YWCA, and I'm really proud of her for her accomplishments, what she's done in her career so far, and she will be honored at a dinner on May 21st at the Radisson. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Hess. Other comments, commissioners? Looking like no one else at this point. So I just wanted to comment on a couple things here quickly and somewhat related to, well, 2 things that happened tonight, our action plan, but also Cal Recovery Now Schmay House, which is going to be built. It took 8 years from start to groundbreaking just to get that project going. Obviously another 1.5 years or 2 years before to actually be open. This is going to be a 10-year time frame for this project. And I appreciate the comments about how to help these things move more quickly, and certainly that's up to us to figure out how our process can be as supportive as possible and as fast as possible. But I would say in circumstances like this where you're creating deeply affordable housing, which this is, that the hardest part of it is getting the financing to do the project, period. This is a $22 million project all in, and The best we can do, we don't have $22 million to throw around here and there on projects. Obviously, the best we can do is we can leverage. And that's exactly what we did. If you look at the capital stack of all the sources of funding that help this project come to fruition, I mean, it's mind-bending. And in addition to that, every single funding source comes with its own regulatory requirements, which may not be in sync with another funding source. So it is a complete challenge to do this, as well as the fact as some of these funding sources have come and gone during this project, so it's been a total shuffle to get here. I'm really, really happy to say that actions we took just very recently, just a meeting or two ago, we approved a little over $1 million in loans for this project. Wouldn't have happened without that. You can have 21 of 22, you still can't do the project. You need to have it all nailed down before you're going to get all your paperwork signed. So the city was able to do that, and tonight, with no fancy talk about it, we accepted a grant from Eagle to our Brownfield Authority, which will also assist with helping this project happen. The last thing I want to say about that project is that, and I don't think anyone has done this in Kalamazoo County, it is certainly the case that there, generally speaking, are only 2 political jurisdictions in Kalamazoo County that grant pilots, and I would say one of those jurisdictions pretty much grants pilots on the consent agenda because nobody here argues about it, and that we have a pilot in this, which means we are giving up the opportunity to collect ad valorem property taxes, which, what does that fund? Fire, police, fixing the roads, plowing the streets, on and on and on. So we are giving that up. We're accepting a pilot instead of a pilot in lieu of taxes, and our commitment, I think, time frame on that particular project is 50 years. So we have committed to 50 years of giving up property taxes, which, if you were based on the valuation, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of time as well. Some people don't think about that, but that is one of the critical pieces that, were it not in this project wouldn't have happened. So I'm just saying about that is that for the young members of this commission, if you're so blessed to still be around, you will be Don Cooney's age by the time that this 50-year pilot runs out. And you can come down here and talk to the current city commission about that when that happens. I need a motion to go into closed session. So commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to go into closed session to discuss labor negotiations. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Slavy.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Hess. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Slavy.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. We will go into closed session. We will come back into open session to take action. Thank you. Okay, we are back out of closed session, and I'm going to ask Attorney Leal to pose the motion. Attorney Leal.
Is there a
Sorry,
motion?
my mic was off. I'll say that again. We're back out of closed session, and I'm going to ask Attorney Leal to read a proposed motion for us. Attorney Leal.
Motion to approve the KMEA collective bargaining agreement effective January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028.
Thank you, Attorney Leal. Is there anyone who would like to make that motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hoffman. Is there a second?
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Hess. Discussion, Commissioners? Commissioner Hess?
Sure. I would like to thank all of the members of the bargaining unit and our bargaining team for coming to this, this contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Other discussion? Commissioner Slavy.
Want to thank you then, to everyone that participated in negotiations, and I just look forward into the future that we continue to pursue the effort to make sure that all employees make a living wage in Kalamazoo.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Duncan? Nothing? Okay. Anything else? Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Slaby.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Well, this wasn't what the chambers looked like when we started, but they're empty now. So I just want to thank everyone who has hung with us and appreciate the work, seriously, all the questions, all the work that everybody brings to the table here on this commission. I love you, Kalamazoo. We're adjourned.